Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Give me 1 sec to get set up. Happy Labor Day, by the way. I hope everyone got to get some barbecue in. I learned from my mistake from the last holiday and made sure I got it in early. Give me 1 sec. Hey, what's going on? Oh, okay. What's going on, Angie? I was watching a couple of your episodes. I think you put out the movement decentered. Give me 1 second, y'all. I need to put on. I forgot to put on a different shirt. I want to put on a different shirt for this live. Okay, I don't know if it's going to show well on the camera. We'll see. Oh, it's not. But I'll let y'all see what it looks like. If you know, you know. If you get the reference, you get the reference. If you don't, you don't. But it's kind of like one of my shirts that I wear on pool days. I have like some little funny joke shirts. I might try to like zoom out a little later. Let me see if I can set up a little higher. There we go. Yeah, I think someone gets the reference here. So hold on. Let's see. So yeah, so spoiler alert. I think Zed might join a little later. I'm gonna go through some of my. I'm not gonna cover the stuff on what's his name? What's that idiot that she was talking about? Who's one of the Black Manosphere founders? That fucking idiot. With the fucking villain type name. Let me look. I need to know his name. I gotta find his name. It's on the tip of my tongue right now. She's calling out. I think she might be calling out BMT, but there was another person I had in mind. Keep African passport room free. Let me look at the comments that she's posted. It was the guy who kind of sponsored Austin Hallman. What was his name? O'Shea Duke Jackson. That's the fucking idiot that I wanted to get. Oh, sir, I need you to join this panel. I'm gonna try to get someone else who plays pool in that league. I don't know if I want to put his business out here, but I'm the elder statesman from the team. I have a verbal commitment. I'm gonna try to actually poke him and see if he would actually do it. Jump on the panel, man. Don't be scared. I'm gonna put the panel thing in the chat. How have you been though, by the way? Gio, I wish you and your team the best of luck. I'm gonna definitely be back on Sundays. I really want to take like a year off, but okay. Well, when you're done, come back. I wish you all the best of luck. I'm gonna take like a year off of the Sunday league. Unfortunately, I got to play like in a league because I won that MVP tournament, and the APA told me and said, "Hey, if you don't play, you're gonna forfeit your spot." So I'm like, "Fuck it, I guess I got to play." So let me put it this way. So let me look at the chats. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna be talking too much about O'Shea or BMT. Zed might join a little later, but listen. I love the post. I love the energy that Zed's been posting this week. She's been making a lot of posts. There's a lot to be said about these passport bros. And like I said, we're peeling back the onion. These guys are losers. And I've been thinking about it for like the last couple of days, and I'm like, man, this is going to be a hilarious story. I saw this on the previous lives. I was like, this is going to be a hilarious story to tell to our grandchildren and great grandchildren, or just children, and say, listen, there were black men who had race loyal women talking about they couldn't find wives, and they were on a mad search, like Pokemon Go type shit. It's talking about, where can I find wives? Where's the country that I can find wives at? Like, tell me where. They're right here, you piece of shit. Like, you just don't realize it, or you just don't want to accept it. But that's fine. That's fine. They don't. You guys don't want to put the work in. You guys feel, disenfranchised. I mean, I didn't see this coming for black men, but this is, no, people are not going to believe this when you tell them this. Decades, centuries later, they're not going to say, like, black men they had low confidence. What? I don't believe it. Believe it. Please believe it. Believe it, please. So let me go into like some story time. I mean, some show and tell. Let me try to get my videos together. Let me check my little text and see what I want to show first. Let's see. So I guess I'll start with one from International Passport. And we're going to end on like a high note, a kind of a funny note too, once I get through all these videos. Let's see. Let me put some notes behind these. Austin Holman talks about where to. Okay. Uh-oh, we got someone on the stream. Give me a second. No, we don't. Okay, good post. Give me a second to get my bearings. Oh, this is a funny one. Okay. Let's see what else. I'm just trying to get my links together. Okay. Okay. And then we might play this one. Okay, I'm ready. Let me start sharing my screen. Let's see what's going on. First and foremost, everybody hit the like button. Let's get that involved. I'm gonna start sharing some screens. Let me get my stuff together. So let me put the fair use banner on. So we're gonna need a lot of that. Close this Right. Okay. Let me share my screen. Let's go back to the comments. Let's share the screen. Let's make sure we got the audio together. Sure. That's good. Okay. Fair use. So just a little bit of backstory. We've kind of highlighted this channel in the recent past about named International Passport. This loser, just like a lot of the other manosphere red pill influencers, they're working off of a lot of fear. And like again, like when we look back on this era and we talk about how there was a resurgence of guys who wanted to be alpha males, and they thought that they were alpha, and they thought they were so strong, and they were telling women how they offer protection. They can't fucking protect themselves from the internet. So they can't talk about women in social media. They can't talk about society and culture. They need to get themselves together because they can't protect shit. So going back to, I wanted to talk about like this guy, International Passport. He's from the UK. There's been a story that kind of came out. I think True Wonder was the first one to say it on this channel about the UK riots, how they're making misogyny I want to get the words together. I think it's like they're making it a hate crime, like almost like it's going to be like an actual, you're going to actually have a crime committed against you if they're going to see it as a crime. I just want to get this. I want to do a Google real quick. UK misogyny. Hate crime. Something like that. I want someone to put it in the chat. I'm gonna try to look for it. I just can't get the full words together. But let's play the video anyway. So again, UK is trying to make it criminal to. They're trying to get rid of misogyny. They're trying to make that like a crime. And what this guy is trying to do is he's trying to instill fear into the people in the UK, the UK passport bros, and say, we need to flee. We need to find other countries. First, he started with United States. I think Zed played that video maybe a week or so ago about this dude specifically, International Passport Bro, the guy with the little avatar that never cams up. He was crying, saying, I wish I was an American black man. Wait, what? You guys said you wanted to flee the West. The West, you wanted to flee the whole West. So why do you want to go over and live in America? Oh, his justification was, well, I'm so smart and I'm an IT. If I go over to America, I'm gonna have a community of tech bros. They're gonna support me. No, they're not, buddy. They're gonna look at you as a fucking weirdo. If they bond with you, that'll be organic. But if they're not gonna just bond with you just because they have the same job and just because you're skin folk. But bottom line is now that this guy is trying to instill fear, saying, "Oh my gosh, UK is not safe. Everybody's giving us dirty looks. We need to flee to Russia because Russia is going to support people with far right ideas and red pill type of ideas, and UK doesn't support misogyny anymore, but Russia's going to do it. So let's play that. Let's hit play.
Trying to flee Western liberal ideals. Oh, okay, interesting. So it says here, synopsis. President Vladimir Putin has signed a decree allowing foreigners to oppose neoliberal ideals in their own countries to seek refuge in Russia, where traditional values are upheld. Okay. The new policy permits those individuals to apply for temporary residence without needing to meet certain requirements, such as demonstrating knowledge of the Russian language or history. Oh, it says here, right? Russia will provide any assistance to any foreigners who want to escape neoliberal ideals being put forward in their countries to move to Russia, where traditional values reign supreme, according to a decree signed by President Vladimir Putin. Under the documents, such foreign nationals will have the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia outside the quota approved by the Russian government, and without providing documents confirming their knowledge of the Russian language, Russian history, and basic laws. Whoa. The report says applications may be based on the rejection of their country's policies aimed at imposing destructive neoliberal ideals on people, which run counter to traditional Russian spiritual and moral values. The values are listed in the foundations of Russia's state policy in this field, while the Russian government is expected to compile a list of countries imposing unhealthy attitudes on their citizens. Whoa, okay. Russia's foreign ministry has been instructed to start issuing free-mark visas to such applicants as early as in September. Whoa, okay. Damn. Okay. It says here, in February, Putin endorsed the suggestion from Italian students, Irene Cecchini, that Russia should relax entry regulations for individuals who uphold traditional, cultural, and family values. The president occurred stating that each case should be assessed on an individual basis. So this is big news here. Russia is opening up its borders for people, passport bros, people in general, okay, to move to Russia if they oppose the Western liberal values, which we know right now is ruining the West, the feminism, the wokeism, the rampart anti-men attitude amongst women in the West right now. That's what's happening in Russia, right? So if brothers feel some type of way in the UK, in America, and any other Western country, where we're seeing rampant Western ideals, right, go against men, Mr. Theo Waff, should brothers start thinking about moving to Russia? What's your thoughts here, Theo?
Well, we were just talking about how they were going against the inventor of Telegram, right? And VK, you don't have the right to speak. So you can be a Westerner and go to Russia and be anti-Western, but remember, you can never be anti-Russia. Remember that, because they will go against you. So, of course, they want Westerners to go to their country and be anti-Western. That makes total sense. Please remember what they're actually saying and what is actually what the intention is in these words. Guys, if you're actually you don't like the West, which is legit,
y'all are crashing out.
Go to Ukraine. If you want the same family values as Russia, go to Ukraine. They got the same value. In fact, it's actually stronger in Ukraine than it is in Russia. That's for sure. Go to Brazil, Peru, Argentina, Colombia, Panama, Nicaragua, Costa, I don't know, something like that. Costa Rica. Go there. Shoot, go to Cuba if you really want to. I don't mind Cuba. There, if you really want to stick it to the West, go to Cuba. That's right. You get a good medical and gorgeous women. I don't know if you get food or not, but you can get something. Guys, don't go to Russia, please. Please.
Okay,
you guys don't know what you're doing with Russia.
I'm just gonna hit pause right there. Again, in the second video that I've showcased on this channel, I think his name is like Theo or something like that. He is the co-host, the semi-co-host from when I watch these videos. He is shitting on the main channel guy's opinion. He's creating a video saying, urging these passport bros, hey, look, you guys can seek refuge in Russia. And then he just goes and shits on them and says, don't do it. But it just shows you like how desperate these dudes are getting. I want to end this video real quick. Let me go back to the chats. But these dudes are getting, this is how desperate they're getting. Like, I'm sorry. I've said on these channels many times, like, there's going to have to be an extinction level event for me to leave Atlanta, let alone the United States. Not feminism. I mean, these dudes are only struggling. It's not feminism. It's because you guys are far right idiots. You guys are far right. You're indoctrinated. You're in a cult. That's why you're not comfortable anywhere, because no one's going to accept you anywhere. Let me see. Okay, good. You posted the BBC article. I'll have to log in on. Let me see if I can log in and check that. Hold on. But thanks for posting that. Who said that? Sorry, I went on mute because I was going to go on YouTube. I was saying, like, we got plenty of information. I was saying thanks for who said that, for posting this link. I'm about to go log into YouTube and hopefully not hear double streams. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go on mute and try to pull up this article. Okay, I clicked on it. Let me show that just briefly. This is what I was trying to speak about earlier. Fair use. Misogyny to be treated as extremism by the UK government. You'd love to see it. We need that over here. Let's see. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Far right extremism. Extreme misogyny. Okay. Good. Radicalization of young people. You love to see it. Uh-oh. Okay, but thanks who said that for posting that. Let me stop that. Let's see. Yeah, this is facts. Let's see, what was I gonna say? So I think a little bit of story time, and I don't know how, if I'm gonna be able to get actually, take advantage of this. No offense. I learned, I've been speaking about on previous panels about how my best friend, my man 100 grand, my best friend, he's a Republican. No judgment. They're great. They can be great people. I found out, and I kind of pressed him this week. I found out this dude is not only just a Republican, he's a red pillar. Because he's been back in the Ppbros, saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They're actually just going to find love. They're just going to doing this. It's not sex tourism. It's not this. It's not that. I was like, oh, okay. And then every once in a while, he's been like sharing, like, oh, you know what? Like he comes off like really. He's on Reddit. That's one. That's one dead giveaway. But he's very knowledgeable about these different pills. And I just asked him this week, and I was like, are you a red pillar? And he kind of got choked up. He didn't respond immediately. And I was like, oh shit, you are. And he confirmed it. I was like, oh shit. And like I said, like, he's good. He's a good guy. He's not like one of these far right extremist type of ones. I just think that he's, it kind of comes with territory. No offense. I think if you're a Republican, young Republican man, you are probably anti-feminism. And I've known that about him. He has some really strong beliefs about that. You don't you try to have a conversation with him about the wage gap. He's never going to agree on that. I said on previous panels, I was like, if I want to have an argument with somebody, I can just go call him up, because he's on the opposite on any social issue. He's going to be taking the red pill, far right point of view on all the issues. But I love him. He's my guy. I'm going to actually try to poke him and see if he would at least do a video explaining all the different pills: the red pill, the black pill, the blue pill, the whatever the fuck. I've been wanting to do that myself, but I'm like, hey, he's a subject matter expert. I might as well have him do it. He kind of wants to. I think part of his thing is he wants to kind of like speak and say, you know what, red pill gets a bad rep. They're actually not what you think. And I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna try to like butter him up and try to see if he can come on the panel. And maybe it's a pre-recorded, I don't know, but I'm like, I think it would be some great content. Like I said, he's a great guy, has some strong beliefs. He gives some great advice. He's, I love having him in my corner. He definitely, holds me accountable, takes me to task. But I was pinging Zed this weekend, and I'm like, man, I just found out my best friend's a red pillar. Six-figure red pillar. Listen, they exist. I mean, and he's a great guy actually. But he's a Republican, but he's a non-Trump voting Republican. And like he's a great guy. He's my best friend, but he really holds a lot of these traditional these Republican type of beliefs. Let's see. What did you say? Who's that saying? Yeah. I mean, like you're saying, who said that? You could definitely find out by watching the video. Like I said, I really would like to get my best friend to come in and just, whether it's a pre-recorded or live, and just explain the different pills, because he knows this shit. I can do all the research I want. He's gonna still beat me at it, because he's really in the trenches with this shit. So I would love for him to come on in a no judgment zone, because like I said, he's my best friend. I don't want him getting ripped to shreds. I would kind of like to have him, maybe talk with some other women, because like I said, he comes with this, hey man, the reality is in the stats. I don't got to go out and put boots on the ground. I don't, the women are the women. They don't really like the average man. They're not attracted to the average man. I'm like, whatever, dude. Him and I are just like polar opposites. He wants to, his reality is shaped by stats. My reality is shaped by actual boots on the ground. Whatever. But like I said, he's my best friend. I love him. But that's just a little bit of story time that I learned this weekend. Let me try to see if I can find what's the next thing to show. So, this is gonna be a funny one. Let me show this one. The next clip, the next link. Let me pass this. Let me share my screen. Fair use, and hopefully we don't get knocked on the music. Who said that? I'll get back to your post in a second. Let me show you all this. This is a little funny one. Let me see. Y'all should see that. Y'all do. So I think y'all get the gist of it. If y'all saw that, I think y'all saw that. It was just another piece of content from this guy named Starbull. Let me know in the chat if you didn't see that. But he was highlighting how the passport bros are over there creating families in other countries. But the funny piece about it is they got families back home that they're ignoring. That's the funny piece. So like I said, they're willing and jumping into open arms to create families over there. We're gonna play a video later. They're making, no judgment, they're making families with the women in the soys, as Richard would say, the women in the soy areas, the soy sixes. They're making I don't want to spoil too much, but they're making they complain about the same women they complain about over here in the States. They're jumping into open arms over here. Yeah, hold on. Okay, hold on. This is interesting. I'd like to hear your take, because it's like I said, there might need to be some more research to be done, but it seems like they're like on cloud nine with these women who are their quote unquote fetishes over here in Thailand and other stuff like that. So I guess I see what you're saying. They definitely are creating new family members, if they have no intention to actually be there for those families, I agree with you 100%. It definitely remains to be seen whether they're creating family units. We don't know. Time will tell. But they're definitely creating family members. That's a fact. Let's see. What's the next thing to share? Okay. This is gonna be we got someone on the panel. How's it going, Angie? Welcome to the stage. Welcome to the panel.
We got someone on the panel.
Hey, what's up?
Hey. How's your weekend been?
Oh, I've been chilling. Let me get up because I was laying down listening, but let me get up because people say my voice sounds different when I'm laying down than when I'm sitting up. So. But yeah, they may be creating new family members, but they're definitely not creating new families as in intact families. That's not how they roll.
Right. Yeah, I made a post about that, like a similar. I think earlier this week when Zed, she's making a lot of posts, and I came to this realization. I'm like, I feel like these passport bros, they are rolling stones. Like they want to act like, because they can't sit still. And specifically, the best example of that is Austin Hallman. They'll sit around here and say, "Oh, Brazil is the best place. It's the land of milk and honey." Then they go to Brazil, and it's like, "No, I got ran out." Or no, I gotta leave because now it's racist. Or now Kenya is the best place. Now this place is the best place. It's like, can y'all sit still? Can y'all how are y'all gonna actually create a family, but you're moving all like every 3 to 6 months? Like I don't get it. Hey, we got Richard in the chat. But like I said, some of these videos I'm gonna show. One's it's gonna be pretty funny. It's gonna have a little sing along. For some of the people who haven't seen the video from Star Bull, but these people are super interesting. A
nice way to put it.
Yes, and it's a very generous way to say it. But I that's what brought me into this space, was just like I find them almost like a National Geographic kind of like, just I find them just like scientifically interesting. Like they're just psychologically interesting. Like they're just they're really weird. Like. If I went to another country, if I went to go tell any men who were non-misogynistic from previous generations, if I were to go talk to my dad and just say like, "Hey, Dad, we have a surge in like black men who are saying they can't find wives, they can't find girlfriends. Black women don't appreciate black men. They got to go overseas. They got to find a woman." They're gonna look. They wouldn't be able to believe it. Who's this? But yeah,
no.
Yeah, they really seem like this is good. I agree with this. Yeah, I agree with who said that saying. They're walking contradictions. The movement was the strongest in my opinion before they started traveling, before the Austin Hallmans, when they were just like they were just kind of like a Blue Lives Matter for dating. They were just like, no, we can't find wives. It's like we didn't see we couldn't really see them move. We saw them on TikTok. We saw them talking shit, but it wasn't until like the Austin Hallmans when we started to really see the debauchery come out, and we started to see, oh no, they're not going for wives, not at all. I mean, not at all. Like, and why are these men who are 30, 40, 50? Why are they orbiting a 20-year-old? Why are they looking to him as the mascot? I don't know. It's weird.
Because they're psychologically that age. Gray hair coming out of their beard. If they have hair left on their heads, coming out of there and coming out of other places too. They're living vicariously through this person. This is just me talking.
Go for it.
If I were in the dating world and I saw Austin Holloman coming my way, he would. Okay, before I say this, let me say this first.
This is not a family program.
Let me set it up though. Let me set it up. First, let me say this. The top 5 things that men and women look for are the same. It's just in a different order. Like for a lot of guys, looks is number 1. Everything else comes afterwards. I'm not saying every guy, but for a lot of guys, looks. For us, it would be more like number 2, 3 on the list. For some, it may even be 4 or 5. So for me, I would say it's about number 3 on the list. if I saw him coming, he would have to be a very honest person first. He would have to be well established, intelligent, in order for me to put the looks a little bit lower down, because he ain't my type, you know, and that's okay. That's okay. He ain't got to be my type. But I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from an average woman's perspective. He ain't a lot of women's types off of looks. And then you add a bad attitude to it. That's why he got to go overseas. And even then, he's having issues.
I mean, just to offer just a slight different perspective, I pause. The guy's not ugly. There's no reason why he should be. Okay, fair enough. I think he can definitely look goofy from angles, but I'll say this.
He looked like that creature off of, you know what? He looked like that cartoon character off of Ant's Life. I'll find the character. Hold on.
Appreciate it. But I'm like, he doesn't look bad enough where he would have to travel. I think that there are some guys, no offense, that in this competition, they're gonna lose out. So there's a subset of men. The problem is that the red pillars want to act like that's the everyman. No. The everyman is not hopeless in dating in the States. They're not, and they never were. It's just, I think that a lot of these guys are just low effort men. A lot of these guys, and I know we're not supposed to be speaking about these guys. I'm going to try my best not to. The geriatric AARP old men who want to try to preach to men these archaic beliefs, and try to toe the line of what they did in their youth. It's not working in this day and time. You can't tell these men to, hey, just do what your father and your great grandfather did. No, you have to evolve. And the days of trying to be a misogynistic guy, if you want to be a misogynistic guy in this day and time, you're struggling. You are traveling. So like that's I think they're trying to look at it as like an attack on masculinity. And it's like, no, like it's not an attack on masculinity. It's like nobody really wanted that. And and for the fathers and the great grandfathers, if the women in their generations were able to have the opportunities that they have today, they would be going through incel crises then. What's going on, Richard? Welcome to the panel. Okay, Hopper from Bugs Life. Let's do some little show and tell just before we go to you. Let's do some show and. Let me Google that first. Hopper. Bugs Life. Wow. Okay. I see a little bit of connection. Let me just share this. Let me share it. Share screen. The Bugs Life one. Let's just show this. So I see a little bit of connection, just a little bit, and some of these pictures. The head. And some of these facial expressions. So this is kind of funny. So Angie's saying that Austin Hallman looks like this. I think if we're to be truth be told, it's a couple factors. He's right leaning. He's a right winger through and through. He's a passport bro on top of that. Because I still think even if you were a Republican in Atlanta, you could still date in this market. Now, if you are viral like Austin Hallman and you're a piece of shit like Austin Hallman, and you're a passport bro, and you have that, and people have been talking about you, and you're well known, yeah, it's gonna hurt your reputation. You're a public figure. You have to kind of like monitor that reputation. But I personally think, just my opinion, I don't think that he is like I said, he's in shape. What dude with a six-pack can't date in the States? I mean, I don't get it. Yeah, apparently he can. So let's talk about that. I said on the first panel that I jumped on this channel, I said, this is a business for him. He could date in the States. He won't be successful at it because he's not really looking for relationships, just like a lot of these master dudes are. They're not looking for relationships. They're just looking for intimacy and as quick as they can get it. But Austin Hallman, that's one thing that's hurting him is he's not really looking for a relationship. He's 25, but still he's not looking for a relationship. He's just looking for intimacy. And like I said, like people who are fit, they're not supposed to be struggling. You're not struggling with women. Just shout out to OB, where he will call on these panels and say, what dude who's making six figures is over here with a tiny violin crying about their dating life? Who? It should. I'm not saying you should be able to get everybody, but you should not be struggling. Just like anybody who's fit, there are going to be some people, in my opinion. I don't have all the answers, but I think anybody who's at top fitness or very fit or fit, there are going to be people who are just going to be willing to date them just off the aesthetics alone. So for him to say, listen, I can't, I'm over in Dallas, I'm over in wherever the fuck, I can't date in the States, but you're a Don Juan over in, now, mind you, he's sleeping with Chapeadores, but to say that you can't date in the States, it's bullshit. And I think it's this notion that they're trying to preach to these young men. And I think it's to your shout out to you. I think it's an older man mating trick where they're trying to preach a story about women are born with value and men, they got to earn it. And I told my red pillar best friend, I said, listen, if men are built, if there's any truth to that men are born with no value and they have to work throughout their life to build their value, there are women at every fucking stage of their life that are going to accept them for where they're at. Whether they want to accept those women or not, that's a whole nother thing. But this notion that no, a man, no matter where he's at, no matter how much he's earning, he's got to build his life. He's got to get it all together before he can date. That is bullshit.
Yeah, it's meant to delay you. It's kind of like, I'm not a big basketball. I don't know much about basketball. Let's just say I've had a very interesting dating life before I got married. But one thing I do understand is that like older men tend to be good at throwing fadeaway shots, right? Because they're too old to do those jump shots. They're too old to get up there and hang off the hoop and dunk. You know what I mean? So what they get good at is the fadeaway, and that's what I see happening with you all. They want to give you this notion that it takes so long to become successful in the land of opportunities, where people literally come here, not even speaking the language, but open up businesses and become successful, but you're born here, right? So that's just a delayed tactic because, degrees are not easy to get, but they're not impossible. And you can, change your life within 4 or 5 years, just like that. It doesn't take that long. So you are a threat to people who are balding, who are getting older, who are immature. They're not attracting women who are close to their age. So they got to feed you a line of bull crap as men to get you to delay being able to participate or compete against them in the dating pool. So that's just some of what they do. They tell us women a lot of bull crap, but they tell men a lot of bull crap, young men especially a lot of bull crap too.
Yeah, one of them that I want to tackle maybe in the next women's panel is like this third date rule. I want to drop a nuke on it because like I think that's another mating trick. Is like I watched a video from like the people who we won't mention on this channel again, but like they want to tiptoe around it and say, hey, there's no pressure on a third date. But then they'll say, if a woman's not ready, they said this verbatim, if a woman is not ready to admit to me that she's sexually attracted to me and she's ready to be sexually involved, I'm stepping off. That's pressure. You're applying pressure, sir. So I just think that there's some guys that just need to kind of admit to themselves like they're just out here looking for hookup culture. And then a lot of men, especially the older men, they've tried to preach it down to younger men that like dating there's hookup culture in it by the start of that third date. That's not what really dating, in my opinion, is supposed to be about. But they're preaching that down to them and discouraging. And they're saying, hey, if you're trying to be patient with a woman in dating, if you're just trying to like build a bond, you're a simp. She should be giving something up by the first, second, third date. And they're not. They're being very cowardly about it because like they won't really call it out explicitly, but like when you listen to it, you'll see how the sentences connect. And you're like, no, but you were actually saying this. Why don't you just go out and say that? Why don't you just say that you're gonna be you're gonna be putting this implicit pressure on this woman? But I want to save that. But that's what I'm worried about, Angie and Richard, is like this generation, like men. There's this misconception about like how men are so strong and they're able to protect people, specifically women. We can look at right today, they can't protect themselves. The next influencer comes out here shirtless and drives a Ferrari. They're going to be following behind like little. They're instantly snake charmed. They're listening. We've had a lot of bad actors throughout time And like I said, I don't want to accept it because they always want to point to this generation and say, what's wrong with this generation? They just don't have friends. They're playing video games. They're doing this, doing that. No. It was older gentlemen. That's a big factor. It's misogyny. This misogyny just didn't come out in 2022. It's been here.
Right.
And they're being led astray, and they're being taught these bad. For men, most of these men who are struggling, they are trying to align themselves with the ideal, what the ideal male it looks like, in terms of that misogyny, and men tell them to. You have to make 6 figures. You got to be 6 feet. You got to be fit. You got to be, you want to be a ladies' man too. I mean, there's so many of them, and it's like you got to looks max. You don't got to do any of that shit. You really don't. You got to figure out who you attract, and you've got to, appreciate them and be a good person to them, and that's all it really is. But if you're trying to follow what misogyny is telling you, is go after the 20-year-old smoke show. You don't even know if you attract that. You don't even know if she finds you attractive. Like, why are you trying? Yeah.
I know when I was in my early 20s, I wasn't looking to be with some, in my early 20s, 30 was old, late 20s was old, and definitely 40 or 50 was freaking old. Generally, a young woman that gets with a man that is that with that big of an age gap, it is a compromise on her part.
Facts.
She's saying, okay, this is what's on the dating market. I got this guy here who looks the part, but he's a freaking idiot. He has no manners. He's coarse. He hasn't developed himself. I don't want anything to do with that. And if I try to get what, that, let's say that's option A. Option B is the, stereotype of the jailbird. I don't want him either. So option C is the older man that, that's going to be rough. But, again, we women, looks are like number 3, 4 on the list of the top 5. So, he's honest, he's secure, he can have a conversation and, an actual conversation, and actually be interested in like getting to know me as a character. So I'll compromise and look past all of the other stuff because I got this. That's what's going on. Yeah. This fantasy of, I can just work until I'm 50 years old and build up my wealth and then go and find some young thing. It doesn't work like that. First off, you have to think the birth rate ratio naturally, generally globally, when it's not being tampered with, is 1 girl for every 1 boy that's born. So what that means is that for people that are in their 30s, they already have an equivalent of their mate somewhere in the world. Okay, fine. Now, if a man in his 30s goes jumping into the dating pool of the 20-somethings and happens to attract a 20-something-year-old woman, then there is a 20-something-year-old man that's left behind. That's usually how that works. So they have to feed these young men some bullcrap, and it's global. It happens everywhere. It's historical too. There's a painting called "Unequal Marriage" by a Russian painter. Let me see. His name is Vasily something. Vasily Pukarev, where it depicts a scenario. Let me see. When was it painted? It was painted in 1862. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I want to show that this scam has been going on for quite some time. It goes back even further, but this is proof. And when you look up the painting, I'll put the name in the chat.
Yeah, right.
It shows a man in the prime of his life, but he didn't have enough money. He didn't have enough resources. And he's sitting back and watching the love of his life getting married to an older man that needs a corset in order to stay erect. He's so old. And this actually happened. I think the marriage lasts 4 years before the man died. The older man died and left the love of his life as a widow, and she eventually died in poverty. So, but this whole scam has been set up to have men using the prime of their life when they should be forming families, when they should be basking in the fruit of their labor, to get them to work away, doing menial things to keep them dumb enough and brutish enough so that the older men can use them at their disposal. Meanwhile, still be financially attractive in the eyes of the women, even though they may not be attractive in other ways. So no, I mean, even I like Shira 7, but I'm going to use her as an example here. I feel that if she had a decision years ago before she and her husband married, if it was between her husband now and a man that was identical to him but younger, she would have went for the younger guy.
Who was that example you were talking about?
Shira 7, Sprinkle.
I didn't know she was married.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
thank you for having me up. I wanted to address some things that you guys have talked about, and I want to first check my levels. How's my levels coming in?
Sound good.
Okay, very good. Good day to the panel. Again, thanks for having me up. I've been going down a rabbit hole with some of these topics, these talking points, in terms of what's happening with this Passport Bro movement. And I saw some really interesting videos. One from a Thai woman, and I'm boots on the ground, and I want to give y'all a little insight about what's happening. One from a Thai woman who did a segment or a video about dating Thai women and the transactional nature of that relationship. I'm boots on the ground, as you know, in Sin City, as they call it. I don't see it as such. It's a beautiful place with beautiful scenery and incredible culture. I'm not into the bar scene, as I've mentioned many times. But when I examine, as I'm walking around, even in my own neighborhood, I see the men from foreign countries, including black men from America and men from Europe or wherever. It's kind of tragic when you see it, because you've got really young women, not all of them, but a lot of them. That's what a lot of the men come for, dating really out of shape, fat, older men, including the brothers. Most of the brothers I see over here fit that same look. And I think it's pretty clear by now, or it should be to most brothers who are coming here, and I'm just going to stick with the brother conversation, is that these women are hip now. They know what's going on here in Thailand. They know that these brothers are coming over here, or men are coming over here for that transactional type of relationship. And in fact, I learned from this Thai lady's channel, the Thai women who are in that life have a Facebook group. I think it's called "Are You Dating My Boyfriend?" And so they'll see. It's pretty clever, isn't it?
They're doing that in the States too.
They are analyzing and they're analyzing the activity of these men as they move about the city. You know, they've got two types. You got guys who come here, want to get a woman like Zoom has. And then you got other guys who they call butterflies that float from bar to bar. And these women are tracking that right now. So it's not what you think it is anymore. And the idea of being in a transactional relationship, when all my life I've never been in one, other than taking care of my woman and her taking care of me, that's transactional. But other than that, I've never been in one. And as I said earlier on one of the other panels, Chris, I think you quoted me on this and on another panel, that I'd be afraid to lay down. I mean, Thai people are very kind, and this is a very safe area, but I'd be afraid to lay down with a strange woman I met in a bar or on Beach Road, come home, have relations. If she doesn't leave right away, let's say she spends the night, I'd be a little nervous. Now, I also been going on the rabbit hole of what's happening in South America, and that's just getting really, really ugly, really ugly. And brothers really need to be careful. And again, those women are keyed into the same issues that women around the globe, where there might be red light districts, they already know about it. They're not dumb. They're on their home turf. They're going to play those brothers. One last comment I'll make, and I'll put it in part. I was watching last night a sister who has a pretty popular TikTok, and she had her topic was, who in the hell did I marry? You know, we've seen that TV show. I guess some of y'all have. And she went through like a litany of problems she had with the guy she went on a date one time in Miami. He dipped off to Colombia and was gone for about a week or so, then dipped back into the States in Miami and hit the girl up and wanted to date her again. And you know, the conversation went on. She didn't want to go out. They got into some kind of kerfuffle, you know, in terms of what they were talking about. Man, if you can look that up, this brother, who apparently was of some value because he took her to a very nice restaurant, spent like $500. He lit into her with the most profane, over and over again, text, voice messages. It was insane. And this was an American woman, a Black American woman, Black American man. The manosphere has polluted men's minds. And again, I always say, strip club culture in America made men think all they got to do is just bring some money to the club, make it rain, and you can go home with a pretty stripper. And then all the Snoop Dogg pimping culture that came out of the West. So I'll put it in part there. I'll let y'all address some of it.
I think it's a factor, but I think when you add all those things and you add this pressure of, hey, a woman knows, they say this, a woman knows within like the first minute if she's gonna sleep with you or not. And so they already bake it in that by the third date, if she's not willing to sleep with you, she's fucking you over. She's now taking revenge of your resources. Not that she's just still trying to get to know you, or you know, she's taking her time. She required patience. You know, misogyny and just male culture. And I'm gonna flip it over to you, Flint, in a second. It's grooming these angry men because it's building this entitlement of like, you know what? If you have six figures, the woman should want you. If you go on 3 dates, the woman should sleep with you. It's like it's very low effort. And it's like, listen, hold on. Let's be clear about it. Let's address this. There are some people that might go along with that, but that's not the expectation. And us as, you know, we should want to be gentlemen. We should want to be patient. Or if you're not, as a man, if you're not patient, go overseas or explain that. But to make it look like being patient is abnormal is wrong, in my opinion. I'm gonna flip it over to Flip, but before I flip it over to you, Flint, OB, and everybody in the chat who's watching this live or on replay, y'all need to watch this movie from Tyler Perry called Divorce in the Black. It's a bunch of fuckery. Let's be clear about that. But the last couple of weeks, people have been shitting on me, getting on me about, oh, Chris is dating a married woman. Listen, you go watch that movie, Divorce in the Black. Tell me you would not go date Megan Good if she was going through what she was going through in that movie at some point in the proceedings. But Flint, welcome to the panel.
Yeah, thanks a lot having me on. Now I was just listening to the conversation and it's the same talking points, but I know the woman on the panel. She was just mentioning like the older men going out there and belittling older men that's seeking younger women. I don't know, like that's a sin or whatever. And stereotyping, exaggerating, like all men that's middle age or 50 or making it seem like they haven't lived their life, they haven't been successful. Therefore, they have the right to travel and do their own thing. So why is it that they have to stay in America or even date people their own age when they have other options, even more so overseas?
Can I speak to that real quick, Chris? And I'll try to, I'm going to be quick on it now. Yeah. One of the other things I wanted to point out, most of the men that I meet over here are retired military. Retired military men have a certain mindset because, and they'll claim that they've been to 100 countries, but that was on, you know, the taxpayers' dime. they go to those countries, maybe they're stationed or they're there for a short period of time. And so transactional relationships for them is something they've done throughout their youth. But, I'll park it after this. To Flint, if you're still chasing women, I would say past 35, past 40, if you're still looking for love, when I see these older brothers over here who are, running around to the bars and stuff like that. I just saw Chocolate Man at a bar last night with 3 women. I'm like, bro, you messing up your channel now. But when I see men that old still searching for love or just sex, that speaks to a retarded development. I don't mean they're retarded. I mean retarded development, arrested development, maybe a better way to put it. I'll park it there.
Well, I want to back up. I want to piggyback what Angie was saying about I hate this notion that with Kevin Samuels, he really got into black men's minds and said, oh my gosh, men's value is going to get better as they get older. They're going to become high value men at 40 and 50. There's no rush. They can just get themselves together and they can just start families at 40, 50, 60, whatever the heck. And it's like, I thought about it this week and I was like, wait. And I've said it on many panels. I said, the younger woman in that transaction is getting a bad deal. She is settling. Let's call it what it is. But I've started to think about it this weekend, and I said, what is the health of an average 50-year-old black man? She's not getting a good deal on that alone, too. So that man's health is going to be deteriorated. It's going to be compromised in a lot of cases, compromised, and they're going to be getting a younger woman. And in these cases, so they might travel and they might be able to get that for different types of circumstances. They're not getting in the States. It's going to take a very special circumstance, a guy with very special circumstances to be able to pull that in the States. But they got men convinced that listen, if you got the right setup, if you make enough money, you can go get you a 25-year-old smoke show. You're not. You're really not. You got to be you got to be who's like a 50-year-old. We got to be Will Smith. I mean, let's just call what it is. You got to be him to be able to actually get that, or a professional athlete.
Okay, but to your point, you're right, and that's why. But that's the equivalent is of going overseas, and that's what we're getting. So in America, yes, you're not getting that because you can say the economic value is higher. So you go to third world countries. I'm just saying for what it is. You go to third world countries, the women are more finer than the American women in most part. They don't have all this baggage that they have in America.
Define the baggage.
Feminism and all that you preach about. They don't have all that baggage. So men, we don't have to worry about that. We getting really a natural woman when we going overseas more than in America, which is the woman code and the girl code and what kind of man they're looking for. Okay, continue looking for that type of man. But the men who don't want that, they go overseas and they find what they want.
But what do you think they want though, Flint?
Good question.
What are they looking for?
As you know, it varies. Just like what you're looking for is different than what I'm looking for, right? So it varies. So I can't.
Well, I'm talking about in terms of love.
Well, I can't speak for everybody because everybody's not looking for love. You're not looking for love, right? So why is every man that has to go overseas and deal with a woman have to look for love? And today,
I think the conversation
in today's days and time, I don't think that love even exists these days. Even when you feel that you love someone, you get divorced in 5 or 10 years or whatever like that. So I mean, you don't think like loving like it used to be when we were growing up and watching Disney movies.
You think that can't happen overseas with the same rate?
Yes, of course it can. But men not getting married overseas as much as you might think, as you know. So yes, traditional women. I speaks about traditional women overseas. You could say that they more feminine and they feminine qualities. So in that way, they offer that. But men have many options when you go overseas. I'm just telling you what it is. So you keep on like browbeating brothers saying, "Oh, you can't get that in America." Yes, we can. And those passport bros should admit that they can't, and just say and embrace the fact that they do get it overseas.
Right.
I'll go to Dominican Republic. I went there for 10 days. I mean, that's what Dominican Republic, for example, you do have to have money, but the same way in America, you have to have money. You have to have money, but at the same time, you rule over there, as you know. And Richard Cano in Thailand, he out there in Thailand. I guess he's not dealing with the local woman, but he knows he have access to them if he wanted to.
Mhm.
But I don't understand any man in his right mind who I don't understand when things changed where men find it so easy now. I guess that's where my old age shows that men find it so easy now to say, you know what, I'm going overseas and I'm just going to pay for it.
Well, not necessarily paying for it. It just usually, I mean, you pay for it one way or another, right? When you take a woman out, when you take a woman on the date, okay. When you take a woman on a date, you're paying for it, right? You're paying you spend the money to spend money, so you're paying for it.
Alternative
Right?
facts.
So you're paying for it either way. I don't pay for it directly like that, like pay for play. But at the same time, you know that a woman you're taking her out, and then she usually asks, if she have children, she usually asking money for taxi and money for the babysitter. That's what and then you paying it that way in some ways. And so,
but I think there's some differences here. First and foremost, like they've exposed in this passport bro culture, these people are hooking up with sex workers. They're taking sex workers out of dates. No judgment. They're even wifing up some of these sex workers. No judgment. Versus dating over here, the women like I said, no judgment. The women I'm dating, they're not sex workers. They don't have that agenda. They're not going to ask me to go to the ATM by the end of the next morning. There is a difference, a huge difference.
Chris.
But okay, Richard, maybe tell you something real quick. When it comes to dating, and when it comes to having sexual relations with women, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, men, men feel like, well, they being satisfied one way or another. They don't have to go on paying for it. Just express, you could say.
I get
that's the mentality. That's the mentality. Flint.
It is.
Well, yeah, fact. You're skipping over the whole emotional relationship and all that love talk, and you're going right to the business. But that's not saying that's not me. I'm just you're talking about brothers in general, because I have communication with females that I know, and the match I don't just get with anybody I just meet them off the street, whatever. So
and OB, I'm sorry, not OB, but Flint, I want to go back. I want to go back and to something you said, and Chris laughed and chuckled. I'm sure the ladies on the panel probably have too. You pay for it one way or another. Chris put out a poll recently asking the question about third date rule, and I responded, who's counting? If you are with a woman, you're attracted to her, you're having a great time, you can afford to take her out and treat her like a lady, and you like being with that woman, who's counting how many dates you go on because you're enjoying that woman's company? Right. And eventually, if things work out, I guess you two will find love together. But I want to go back to Flint, because I know you know other passport bros and frequent other panels, maybe not as a speaker, and I'm asking for my own edification. When did men decide that was okay? I mean, and then I had a question back some weeks ago in my head, and are any of these men Christian? Now, I'm not trying to turn the conversation religious, but I mean, don't you feel anything inside, knowing that, okay, I don't have a woman, maybe divorced, I'm not looking to date seriously, I'm just going to go pay for it? When did that started?
I personally, before Flint responds, I think it always existed, Richard. I think
maybe amongst military men, but not regular.
I don't know. I think it wasn't on this level, and like I said, I'm ignorant to this stuff, but I think it always existed. I think that there were always men who were impatient.
Still his profession, of course.
What's a good? They were impatient, and it might have been like a trip to DR back when I was in college. It might have been a trip down. It might have been Freaknik. It might have been something else. They might have been traveling. I think this passport bro stuff has been happening even for black men, but just not. It wasn't a movement. it wasn't tied to it wasn't tied to anti-feminism. It was just tied to horny ass dudes. I mean, now it's tied to far right. Now,
well, you know what? It would be happening more if it wasn't illegal in the States. Pay for play. Just be honest. And men go to the second best option. I never been to. I just been to for one time. Just because I never been to it. That's you call that. You call those? I don't even figure that much. I don't even know what you call those places where women out there getting naked on a pole and stuff like that, dancing.
You touched on the strip clubs?
Strip clubs, yeah. So, yeah, I know they're full of Atlanta, right? So, men go to that, but then they talk to the woman on the side and they try to get some peace. So, there's sometimes undercover prostitution in those places. So, they get it there. But it's illegal. So, at the same time, men being always wanting it and getting it and going underground and using different, like, online resources. But then you have Tinder. That's Tinder. Sometimes it could be, you have those sugar daddy websites now, things of that nature. So it's happening. It's just underground because it's illegal.
Well, but isn't prostitution illegal in the DR?
No, prostitution is legal. Prostitution is legal in the DR. You just can't pimp them out, and you can't. The woman is in charge of her own body regard to that. So it's legal because they know that they're not doing good for their citizens, so they're like, okay, do what you got to do to survive. So they're not making it illegal. But that's mostly these South American countries. They don't make it illegal like that. Colombia and all that. They saying because they know
Colombia is legal or illegal. Colombia,
yeah, they're legal. They're legal too. They're legal too as well. That's why when you see men getting caught up, like passport bros, occasionally they get caught up and not paying the chick, and then they call the cops and the cops say, "What was going on?" They said, "Well, she said this rate, and now she upping the price and stuff." They're not arresting the foreigner or the gringo because he participated in prostitution. They know that's what goes down, and they saying, well, y'all got to talk it out or give her what she want. Or sometimes they extort you, so it's dangerous when you get the cops involved. But yeah, that's usually the case. It's not illegal. If it was illegal, then the passport bros would be banned from going to these countries because they would just say, hey, you practicing prostitution without women and it's illegal, and then we're gonna arrest you when you come in. So things like things of that nature.
So, Flint, have you ever been to Los Angeles?
Yes.
Okay.
Twice.
Have you ever been on or seen the Blade in Los Angeles?
The Blade? What's that?
Oh God.
The Stroll.
Nah, I think I see it online. They have places where online they show those places.
I
have that same stroll in East New York, in Brooklyn, where I live.
Okay. They just decriminalized prostitution in LA.
Yeah,
that's why
they do it in New York too. They arrested Johns, but they let I be driving through it, and I'm like, man, I be upset sometimes driving. I said, look at these women showcasing, but then if I actually wanted to pick her up, I could, put myself potentially get arrested. But that's messed up. It's messed up that they decriminalize it. They should make it legalized. Why they arresting this John when a woman out there is seducing the men to participate? They making it, and so it's all right for them to seduce men, and then when men participate, they're gonna get arrested. That's unfair.
They get arrested too.
I agree with you. That's nasty work.
Flint, they get arrested too.
Not in LA, as Richard said. In New York, they don't get arrested. They don't really straight out get arrested for prostitution. They can stand there. They stand there. They're just not allowed to talk to customers, somebody walking up to them and talking to them. They got to be discreet about it. Just walk down the street. And if the cop's not there, then they could occasionally pick up a customer. But if the cops is there, if they're watching, they arrest. They had a newspaper. They put a newspaper article. They had 50 men. They did one time because sometimes that leads to crime and shooting and killings. So then once in a while, they do undercovers and crack down. But then
I had this conversation a little bit with someone that I know. Someone I previously dated. She brought up, hey, prostitution should be legal in the United States. It might solve some of the problems, specifically these guys, the passport bros, whatever. I don't know if it will. I really don't know if it will.
I don't welcome it. I don't welcome it, Chris.
No.
I think it's degenerate to really pay for it. You want society. We already have porn that's big and everything now. But men need to, get rid of their sexual frustrations too. That's why it'd be less rapes and all that other stuff. Unfortunately, be less of that.
What are you thinking, Angie?
No, I don't think that it will help with anything. Prostitution is linked with sex trafficking. It's also linked with child exploitation. It's also linked with other types of illicit activity, such as, DRUG trafficking. And then whenever there are DRUGSs, I'm trying to
that's fine.
Okay, crime rate goes up, violent crime goes up. So that's been a discussion that's been going on for quite some time. Studies have confirmed it. It's not good. It's not good. And in terms of people engaging in activity outside of marriage, that's, to me, that's your business. If you want to travel overseas and everybody is consenting, okay, fine. But the issue that I take is this is what you do. And what you try to do is make a false equivalency to the guy that does want to be married, does want to have a family, does want to be in a monogamous heterosexual union. And it's like trying to influence other people to become like that and make it seem like it's the norm. I've said it before in one of my videos. It's kind of like, this is your sexual fetish. This is the how you get down. This is what you do. That's your business, your body, whatever. But just leave it there. That's what it is. Don't try to convert, especially women, into performing in that way, because that's what you do, because, for somebody that's like, I just need something to dump off into because, I got my urges. Okay, fine. There are women out there that'll do that with you. Leave the rest of the women alone. Stop misleading them into thinking that it's going to be something when all the while, this is what you do.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think marriage is these days and times, people get married because of maybe the way they grew up, and maybe they grew up in two-parent. Like you grew up in a two-parent household, Chris. I think I heard you say. So you more. I see how you talk. You got married and now you divorced, whatever. Unfortunately, but then you prone to get married again and stuff like that. So your mindset is on marriage, but these days and times, Austin Holloman age and stuff like that. I don't think his mother ever got married. So you see, you can't blame him that he don't want to get married. He probably will never get married. Especially sleeping around a lot of women, I think it will be hard for a man to settle down as well.
Exactly. That's why I want. Yeah, just
looking at pornography, it kind of messes up your mind.
Yeah, just to pivot real quick. Like when I was talking with my friend and she suggested like, hey, should prostitution be legal? I was like, it might satisfy the sexual urges of these passport bros, but men, it's gonna just like porn is kind of like distorted men, and these OnlyFans is distorted men. Legalized prostitution is gonna do the same thing to an extent that we can't even perceive. I mean, it's gonna make things a lot worse for a good portion of men. But keep on going. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Well, I wanted to ask.
Go ahead, Rich.
I wanted to ask you real quick, my brother. This might be too personal. Have you ever been married?
Yes, 2 times.
Okay. All right. How many?
2 times. So I'm at an age that I took the marriage route, and so I'm more of a try to be a free spirit right now. I'm not sure what the future would entail that I get married a 3rd time, but it will be definitely more likely a foreign chick, but it may not be. Who knows about me someone in America? I mean, just that American chicks, you know what they're about, and basically you stuck on this plantation, or I like to say like the planet. You stuck on this planet. Sometimes you want to go to other planets and explore and stuff like that, and other cultures and races and stuff. If you have 100, you don't have much time. Relatively 20, 30 years of this life, so you might well, do you want to live your life? You know what I mean? Don't live to the standards of other people and wait they feel.
Flip, do you really have 3,000 WhatsApp numbers?
Yeah, it's not impossible. You can have it as well. If you started when I started first time went on the website, dating Dominican site since 2017, and then I've been on it for like three times a year, 3 times a year, and then you have a monthly subscription. So if you're not bad looking, and you get numbers. You look for the girl that you see, and then you ask for that number, and they give it to you, and then you wind up with maybe hundreds of numbers a year. I mean, a month, a year.
Flint, are you collecting? Are you collecting those phone numbers as trophy pieces? I apologize for interrupting.
No. I'm just saying that we attracted to beauty. So when you go on these websites, that's like you go on Tinder and all the other sites in America. You swipe left or you swipe right. I used that Tinder once, right? Initially we attracted to who we attracted to, and then we swipe on it. So in these dating sites overseas or whatever like that, you see their profile, you could send them a message, and then you say, I like your profile, I like the way you look, I would like to get to know you. Can you give me your WhatsApp? So they mostly attractive women. So I'm looking at all these women, I look at all these beautiful women, I'm like, may I ask for their number? So when they give me that number, I have almost 3,000 numbers of beautiful women that I saw on the profile. Because they give it to you easy. Unlike in America, they don't give it to you. I mean, if you was Tom Cruise or you was like Leonardo DiCaprio, these actors and stuff, or NBA players, when they go on Instagram and ask for these chicks' number, you think they chicks won't get them their phone number? Of course they will. So it's the same way when you like in America and you dealing with these third world countries or whatever. I'm just being honest.
Appreciate your honesty, Flint. Now you've got nearly 3,000 contacts in your WhatsApp. I mean, how do you even manage that? I mean, some of those contacts maybe from 2017. Are you still in touch with them?
No.
The girls.
They basically it's impossible to communicate and doesn't work that way. But
I was wondering how you were managing that.
Yeah, I initially meet them, and then on this. They give me their number, and then I add it to my WhatsApp. I just say hola, and then they say hola, and then I send them my photos, my recent photos, send me theirs, and then usually a little conversation will come up. Oh, have you ever been to this country before? Then say yes. Then I said, and then sometimes I say, what are you looking for? And they say looking for a relationship. And most of them, they all say they're looking for relationships. But I'm like, I tried that route before. It doesn't really work if you're not living in those countries. You're not living in DR. So I think it's always a play that they try. And if you stupid enough to bite it, then they be happy for it. Could hear you. I mean, you're in a relationship with this chick overseas, and you already know what she's about. You don't know who she's seeing. She got a man right in her crib, and you sending her money. Hey, but she's your girl, so they want to get into that. So you just say, nah, I'm just about like friends with benefits, or whenever I get seated, I see you, and we can enjoy each other from there. And I could hit you up for something, and basically like that, take you out. And then they either for it, they not for it. They say, no, I'm looking for a relationship. I said, okay, go ahead, find it. And then you move on to the next.
So what's wrong with an American woman doing the same thing? If we don't want to be in a situationship with a guy that's only looking for a friend with benefits, why is it something wrong with us when we do the same thing that the women overseas are doing?
I don't see nothing wrong with that, but I can see how other men think that's something wrong with it, because men don't. They don't judge them. They don't judge women the same way they judge men. So women should be more, very, basically not so much promiscuous and stuff like that compared to men.
I'm a side with the
sisters. Wait, hold on. What was that last?
Yeah, I don't want a dude that's been around the block.
Wait. Were you saying that women are more promiscuous than promiscuous?
No, women shouldn't be. Men don't like women that's promiscuous like that. They call hoes and stuff, right?
Women don't like men that are promiscuous either.
Yeah,
we call them man hoes.
Those men nature. We know men nature. Women's nature is not sleeping around like that.
Nah. I've been around real men.
Yeah, I think you. With all due respect, my brother. I'm sitting here one.
No, I get it. That is something that's preached to men. Like this whole manosphere, they all believe that. Most men are just like, it blows my mind. I've said on these panels, I'm like, how they will preach, they will grandstand for purity culture. You know, the wife, she's gonna have a low body count, the body count, and it's like, but then they have 50, 150, 550. They're like, no, go sow your royals, go over to Brazil, go over to this, do this. But they're like, no, the wife's got to be within 4, within 6. And it's like, what? So I don't get it. I really want to understand that. It's like psychologically interesting. Like, how do they balance the two? Like, they're living on a completely different life, but then the wife has to be this. And it's like, ultimately, we've talked on these panels, they're not going to be satisfied with that woman who they this. Wait, what was that?
Sorry about that.
Okay, they're not going to be satisfied with this. They're trying to like create this Barbie doll. I mean, full, like all the the whole package and the wrapping and all that kind of stuff. It's like they're not going to be satisfied with that Barbie, with all these specifications, with what she has to have. But bring it back to the topic. Like, I want to understand where that came from, because a lot of guys will pivot and they'll say, "Oh, we want women to have low body counts because we don't want to run into other men that she's been with. Oh, or we don't want her to have a high body count because, you know, back in the day before they had ability to validate paternity, we didn't know whether purity was a way for a guy to assure himself of whether those kids were his." And I'm like, well, we can validate that today with like 99% certainty. So that's not really the issue. Like, what is really the issue? I think personally, I put a third one on. I think they're worried about the body count because they're not gonna be able to satisfy the woman if she's sexually experienced. I think that's really the crux of it. Because there's women who have high body counts, and that should never really be a topic. And Chris, they don't care. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make a quick comment or question.
Go for it.
So if American men are so fixated on a woman's body count, irrespective of their own,
correct,
body counts speak to, in my opinion, how one values their body.
Yep.
So, but men can have a high body count,
right,
but American women can't. But the men will go overseas and deal with women who they know have extremely high body count.
Yeah, it's an inception of contradictions. Like, it's just yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted Flint to respond to that.
We know the answer. It's
yeah. Chris said it's a double standard. Yes, we understand that.
It's in men's nature to be sexual, to have this unlimited sexual desire, but it's perceived in society that women are not supposed to want the same. It's bullshit.
But Chris, does that double standard include the notion of morality, even when it comes to men? Are there any moral men out there left, Flip, who are not so obsessed with chasing sex, their entire latter adulthood? I mean, is there a moral component to it? And Flip, I'm on my BA today. I hope he pops through. If you met a woman, either abroad or in the States, who had 3,000 contacts in her phone, would that turn you off? I think I know the answer.
Not really, because I haven't slept with her. I haven't even met them all. So if she haven't, and now she actually, of course, slept with all of them, but if she happened to just know 3,000 men and have 3,000 men in her phone,
I think you're being disingenuous.
I mean, I'm just being honest. What's her purpose of having that type all those men?
Well, I would ask you the same question.
Women nature is different than men nature, and I'm surprised that you even asked this question. And I'm questioning you. Why you even asking?
Let me ask this question.
You're a man, and you've been doing it. You live your life, and I'm sure you. I think you mentioned that you frolic with a lot of women and did your thing. So now you're older and you talking a certain kind of way. It's kind of weird to me.
Flint, let me ask you this. At what point?
What is it? Because you're getting close to age and you on a religious tip. You're on a religious tip, then that holding you, like keeping your moral fiber. But if you're not on the moral tip, then live your life, right? Live your life.
Well,
you're not judged by what kind of standards? As long as you're not doing anything illegal, live your life.
Well, because as you grow older, you should grow wiser.
No, but okay, but then what makes it wiser? What makes something wiser? And whose standards are who's wise and who's not wise? Because of you saying it?
No, sir.
That's how you feel. That's how you feel.
Well, I think there's some standards that are pretty well established in society.
Is it religious? If it's religious, say it though. If it's religious, I understand it. Then you're living by those laws. But if you're not living by those laws, then what standards you hold on to?
I didn't want to go that deep, and I'm going to sidestep that question.
Now you have to get deep because you asking me some.
But no, I'll give you.
I'm asking you back.
You commented on my youth and my background, and
Yes.
frolic. I take offense to. I can remember virtually every girl that I've dated and had relations with by name almost. As my memory wanes, but I made connections with those women. I was never a monger, and I didn't sleep with ex-workers. But again, just examining this whole so-called passport bro movement and how many brothers have just accepted the fact that, hey, I can't get it here. Let me just go and pay for it. Not in your case, as you claim, but the idea that even a man of your age would be, carrying around 3,000 phone numbers, maybe half of which are dead phone numbers, and then announcing the fact that I guess that's your player level. That seems odd.
The reason why I announce it because I'm just saying it's so much. Can't use right word, but it's basically it's so much. Okay, exponentially, I'm pronouncing the right word, but it's just so much more of I have access to women compared to living in America. I'll be hard pressed to get 1 or 2, 3 numbers of a beautiful woman in the States. I'm just being honest.
Well, how many do you need, Flint? Jeez.
How many do I need? I need one. I need one. Let's start with that. But it's hard to get one in the States because of different reasons.
That's your avatar. You're a handsome fella. Come on now.
That's not my real avatar. It's AI. That's AI avatar that I created. But I'm not bad looking. I'm not bad looking. I'm not showing myself right now, but I'm not bad looking. But at the same time, obviously, when I get 3,000 women, I'm not bad looking. But at the same time, it's just that the fact that you have to, 3,000 women. If Chris were to say you have 3,000 women, Richard, you in Thailand right now. If you wanted each one of the women, you walk down the strip, whatever that strip that might be. Of course, I know it might be red light district. You actually each one on the phone numbers, you get each one that number, right? You wanted 3,000 in one day. For
clarity, I don't live in the red light district.
I know you don't. I know you don't, but you can't. But you know where it's at. So if you want to go there,
yeah, of course. It's everywhere. But I'm glad you asked me that because I've only been here a year, and the women that I see with the men, I wouldn't even want to date her or go after that man in terms of sexual relations with that girl. I look at them and oh man, are you screwing him? Oh no way. I don't want no part of
you. You're not near the red light district, you saying?
Say again?
You're not near the red light district. That's what you're saying, right?
My complex is off the red light district, but it's right down the beach. I'm a half a mile from the beach, and Beach Road is a red light district.
You did mention earlier that you come across veterans and things of that nature. So obviously
they live in my building as well.
Okay, well then you're around them and you see the woman that they with. You see
no, the veterans live in my building. A lot of veterans who come to Thailand.
With that said, you near the red light district, you near the area where looser woman is frequent. You could say walking on the street and you walking by them and stuff like that. So
that's true, and that's why I mentioned
not to participate.
Of course not.
I don't know if that's true or not. But I'm not the kind of man that take your word for it. I just be neutral in that because man, I'm not God, and I don't know what goes down. Man like to paint a picture sometime, and they do the exact opposite. So,
aka Passport Bros.
When it comes to internet,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
I just wanted to speak to this right quick. Hey, you do your thing, but I think I can speak for the majority of American women. And women in general, when I say that if I were still in the dating market, I'm married. If I was still in the dating market and I came across a guy that had 100 different phone numbers, let alone 3,000, I wouldn't want anything to do with him.
Okay.
I wouldn't want anything to do with him. No, I'm not giving you my number. Okay. And if I gave my number and you revealed to me, or some way, somehow I found out that this is how you roll, I would immediately disassociate myself, because that's not the kind of lifestyle that I want to live.
Of course.
What's wrong with me for being that way? As the American woman.
What you just said was basically self-explanatory, of course, because your objectives and your goals is different. So you're not looking for that. So, and more likely, I want to be talking to a woman that's not ready for, I'm basically not ready to settle down. So I want to be interested in a woman in America dating. So I want to be that. I want to talk to women in America.
But you make it, but not you specifically. You all, as passport bros, make it seem like because we take this position that there's something wrong with us, that because we have standards,
okay,
and that we have lifestyles that we choose to live, and you all are not interested in living that way, that it's something wrong with us, and the remedy is to go overseas to deal with us, which is what you do is your business. I'm not trying to say you should stay here. What you do is your business. You're free. As a matter of fact, the way the things are in the world right now, we, the women overall, are at an advantage because there's 70 million more of y'all than there is of us. And in Asia, it's ground zero there. You may not experience it because you're going there in an upper echelon income bracket, according to where you're going to. Yeah. But the reality on the ground is there are way more men there than there are women. And
wait. No, that's not true. There's more women.
Yes, it is.
There's more women in America. There's more women in America than men. What are you talking about?
Sir, where are you getting your information from?
Google it right now. The ChatGPT mentioned it. I can give it to you. There's more women than
Sir,
men.
go to the data at World Bank. I'm not trying to yell at you, or I know that might have caught you off guard, and I know that you're passionate about how you feel, and that's fine. But I don't make statements like, no, go to the data at the World Bank. The reason why
you saying ChatGPT AI is not more is going to
what I'm helping you to understand is that you can go to an organization that actually collects census data from various countries. You can go ahead and do what you want to do. Go to ChatGPT if you like, but I'm telling you where you can find the source of the information.
Takes it from these sources, so we're gonna find out right now.
So there are 70 million more men on the planet, or males on the planet, than there are female.
Okay.
And 50 million of the 70 million are adults.
Okay, what's your point? So, what's your point in the way that regard to that, though? Because there's basically going to be a man.
Well, sir, I'm not trying to argue with you. I can't argue fact.
Yeah, but that fact doesn't apply to me. For example, it doesn't apply to a lot of passport bros because they have access to many women. Same way I do.
What I'm saying is that you all are going into an area where there is a higher, greater male mating competition there than there is even here.
No, it's not, man.
Let her explain. Hey,
are you listening to that? I have 3,000 women? So how's that competition?
Flint, let her explain that. Can you explain that, Angie?
Sure. I just mentioned before I made all of those statements, if you can recall just a few moments ago, that you're going there in the upper echelon of the income there. So you may not actually see it on the ground. Yeah. You see, what happened is that in China as well as in India, they did female gender selective abortions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then they did female infanticide. Okay. And then on top of that, you still have domestic violence. So all of these factors are taking girls and women out of the population. Now, when you talk about the birth rate, sir, generally how nature had it designed before man interfered with it, or should I say patriarchy interfered with it, because there are some women who support the patriarchy and did things to benefit it. Okay. Before it was interfered with, generally speaking, according to data, not according to my opinion, okay, there is one girl born for every one boy born on the planet. Okay. So when you put pressures, unnatural pressures on the population, such as decreasing the number of girls that can be born, or if the girl is born, you're burying her alive. And for some women, they're being, by the hands of their so-called loved ones, being sent to meet their maker. These are the kind of things that have decreased the population of women. And this is why there are 70 million more men and boys on the planet than there are girls and women. And right now, as we stand, 50 million of the 70 million are adult men. So when there's the statements that are being made is that there's something wrong with us women, and as a remedy, you have to go to a place that is basically ground zero of the disparity in the population between men and women in order to find a remedy. It just, by the numbers, it doesn't make sense.
Well, can I interject this ratio, because you just mentioned the point with India and China, of course, but that's a big lost populations, of course. But let me say, this is from ChatGPT, one paragraph, as of recent estimates, the global sex ratio is slightly skewed towards. Thank you. Towards more men than women. According to the World Bank and other demographic sources, there are typically around 102 to 105 men for every 100 women. This imbalance is influenced by a variety of factors, including birth ratios, which naturally favor more boys, and differences in life expectancy, as women generally live longer than men. However, the ratio varies by region and country, with some areas having a more balanced or even a reverse ratio. So you mentioned China and India. Of course, they will have more men, but then in other places there might be more women, like in Colombia, I think, and in America, it's more women. I believe so.
There are like maybe 3 or 4 places on the planet where the population of women exceed the population of men, and that's fine. And that's fine, but we need to look at the picture. We need to look at the grand scale, and that is an issue that I'm also seeing. People tend to be individualistic when they look at things. They don't look at the huge picture and how everything plays. That's what I'm presenting. So when I say that we women are at an advantage, well, if it doesn't, for instance, if it doesn't work out with someone domestically, I can go and be with someone internationally without having to leave here. But you have to go and find yours because you're in a global male mating competition.
Okay, that's a good point. But the men for America pretty much they wins because like you mentioned the economic economic benefits.
If you're leaving, with all due respect, and I don't mean any harm when I say this, but I'm just being like I was being forthright and honest, just based on the data about the population disparity. I'm also doing that right about now. If you're the one that has to leave, sir, you're not at an advantage.
No, we are at an advantage because men that travel.
You're an advantage when you get there, but you're not at an advantage here.
No, okay, not an advantage here, but then once you taste the overseas, I'm just speaking for personal experience. I'm speaking probably for Richard too. I'm not exactly sure, but I speak for myself, and I speak for a lot of brothers as well. But once you experience overseas, you don't want to date in America again. That's the fact. That's the fact of it. So, and that's fine, perfectly well. But the issue is, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I'm in an international marriage. So if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. There's no judgment there. The issue is that the statement is all been set up. There's something wrong with us here in the U.S. as women and our feminine picking instincts, that we want someone that has a lifestyle that's compatible to our own. And because we're not picking you, there's something wrong with us. And that's why you got to go. So, if you want to go over there, fine. But
so long as doesn't have to be something wrong with us in the process of your decision of going over there. Just go over there. There's nothing wrong with us. We're dealing with the situation that's on hand. One, women we've only had our rights collectively since the 70s.
Yeah.
Our full autonomy, and Roe versus Wade took us back to the 70s. Okay. Not only that, we haven't made the laws, we haven't made the rules, and the things that we were collectively interested in, there were people who voted against us. From my perspective, right now, if things had gone the way that women and people who are on our side wanted it to go, we would look more like a Norway. We would look more like a Sweden. And you would probably, you all, I don't know about you personally, but as a demographic, you all would probably be collectively more educated and wealthier and, wouldn't have to travel, would have people coming to you. But because our interests were voted against and because of slandering of our reputations, such as we're so bad that people got to fly away from us in order to find better, that's why we are where we are. The only way to get out of this for a lot of people, especially those who are lacking in education, lacking in achievement, is to do something equivalent to the Nordic model, what we see over in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and those places, so that it kind of helps to level the field for people and give them the opportunity to grow if they want to.
If I could address something Flint said a few minutes ago. I'm sorry, Chris, did you want to get in there?
No, go for it. I'm trying to set up for some videos I'm going to show in a little bit. Go ahead.
So Flint and Angie, very good points. Flint, when you look at what you see in your travels, you said you were just in the DR. You don't go there for that reason, but what percentage of men would you estimate go there specifically for transactional love? Let's call it that.
Transactional love?
Meaning, pay for play.
I think the majority.
Okay. I don't want to ask a BA question, but
because you can't really. I mean, initially when I first went to DR, it was that, but then I feel like it's not possible. You're not living there, so long distance relationship, especially overseas, is not recommended. So yeah, so to Miss Patty, just friends with benefits, and that I'm there. I was there for business too, but it's so hot outside. Damn, I didn't even enjoy myself that much. It's crazy. So you step outside, you're sweating and perspiring, and your shirt is all. When you get inside AC, your shirt is stinking and wet. It's messed up. It's messed up. So
earlier on in the chat, I think it was who made a comment about my observations of the men here in Thailand who date young Thai women and what they look like on an average, and who said the women don't look that much better either. And for clarity, at least because I'm here, I have to say she's 100% right. Typically, if you look at any video from any of the soys, those being the bar streets, those women look a little worn out. Many of them do.
Yeah.
I was watching Chocolate Man's channel last night, his live, and again, I mentioned earlier, I don't know how he came back from America and got back into the scene. It's pretty sad because he was sitting last night with 3 women, one of whom was cute, but she said some really nasty stuff in terms of what she would do to you, like love you long time kind of stuff. And the other 2 women, I mean, you could stay in America and date them. That's why I asked if you've ever been to LA. I lived in LA for 25 years. You can find every type of woman in Los Angeles, and with a cheaper plane ride. You can even drive across the country if you wanted variety. But I think brothers have just completely given up on quote unquote game. And I think that's where things started really going south for black male and female.
But I went to LA before, but I was in LA for business reasons, like film with the film industry and stuff like that. But so it wasn't on a social level. It'd be nice if I was living over there. I guess I could experiment or see how it goes. But I live in New York City, and I guess I could date any woman I wanted to in New York City. Just I never dated a white woman before.
Chris, with that struggle streaming. Are we back?
What do you mean?
Well, you just fell off. So I was asking Flint, but aside from the States, at what point does it? And I'm settled down. I'm happy with my life. Not with the person. I came over here a year ago and I fell in love with me again and settled down with me. So and I'm having a good life with that. But at what point do you think, in your own case, I guess if I can be specific, are you going to say, okay, I'm ready to settle down. I'm going to put all this behind me and move on, and either you settle down with a wife or girlfriend or yourself? I mean, at what point do you think that becomes tired and old and played out? Because you mentioned, hey, I can get 3,000 numbers in outside the States, but I can only get 3 or 4 here. I'm wondering how you walking your path, your life, and constantly wanting to get numbers. It's almost like you're just putting notches on your belt. I don't understand that part, and I'm only asking you because I know you're familiar with the Passport Bro movement. Could you enlighten me a little bit on it? Because I'm really confused.
Well, I'm in an interesting point in my life that I'm working on some things, to get out the matrix, you say. But I do have responsibility. I have a son who's a teenage son, so I have responsibility. I just can't go up and just leave like that. So now I'm basically stuck in here in America with a house and everything like that. So until I could be able to sell my house, then things could open up for me. And I'll probably be living overseas. And my son will be older. And he probably live out there with me. He has a passport. He live out there with me, or he could stay with his mother. But
Angie, I would like to ask you, because you made some incredible points. I see the Passport Bro movement as a component of a Black American exodus from America, because things are getting crazier and crazier. It doesn't even have to be for X to go overseas, just want to live somewhere peaceful and affordable. I see a mass exodus of Black people. There are a lot more sisters now on YouTube living in Thailand. Antoinette, get her last name. I meant to mention her before. She lives in Bangkok, has a beautiful channel, and she's living abroad. Other sisters are living abroad. I see this Passport Bro movement, if I can repeat, it's kind of a mass exodus where some people, because it's all about the matrix, but some people are just tired of living in that country, knowing that, at least I felt, I'll never get from this country what I put into it, just in terms of tax deductions, or what my mother and father and my foreparents sacrificed to build the country. So that was my frustration, and particularly living in Los Angeles, which has become a third world city. So that was the purpose of my exodus. Do you see that as well? I mean, maybe not in your neighborhood or your city or whatever, but it feels to me that Black people as a whole are just getting tired of the same old stuff in America. Big election coming up. Nobody likes Kamala. Nobody likes Trump. What's going to happen after that? I think some of us are just tired of being there and want to go explore abroad. And if you can figure out how to get long-term residency, I think that's kind of where a portion of this movement is coming from, aside from the Passport Bros.
I travel constantly throughout the U.S. and I've traveled abroad to quite a few places. And my angle on it is you're paying taxes. So when you pay taxes, or when you pay for anything, you should be able to get what you want out of it. And if you're not, then you need to, speak to the manager, so to speak. Now, from a governmental standpoint, that means that, I feel like, as I mentioned before, we need to see the Nordic model here. Part of the issues that we have is that we're paying into a system, we're working into a system, and we're not seeing much benefit out of it. And worse yet, even though we were born here and we work here, we can't even afford to stay collectively in the places that we were born into and that we're working. That's backwards. That is a sign of mismanagement. Now, I can see how that plays a partial role into why people are deciding to move overseas and just make a life elsewhere. That's okay if that's what you want to do. I just don't think it should happen like that, where it's like, oh, I can't afford to stay here, so let me go somewhere else. You're going to find issues no matter where you go to. And plus, when something is going on at home, I feel, this is my own personal opinion, you should do everything you can to deal with it. If you had an ant infestation entering into your house, are you going to move out? No, you're going to figure out, what to do to remedy the situation. So that's what I feel needs to happen here. And I think that part of the reason why people don't think the way that I think is because of a lack of economic understanding. And that's cool. Most people don't think on that level, but I just wish that more people did, so that they can see the grand scheme of things better and see that it's more about, hey, funds need to be managed better, as opposed to, I got to go overseas so that I can still make my income, but live a certain kind of life. And here's where I'm coming from. If you look at the nation of Liechtenstein, I believe the average income per person is about $116,000. Basically, what I'm saying is that if you were to take all the income for Liechtenstein, a landlocked country in the middle of Europe, and divide it by the population, each person would, on average, make about $116,000. If you do that for the U.S., a nation that has thousands of miles of coastline open to the Atlantic, thousands of miles of coastline open to the Pacific, as well as the Gulf of Mexico, that is more like $70,000. You go and compare Liechtenstein again, they have full medical coverage. You compare the US, if you get sick, you're in debt. Okay. Why are we operating like this when we have more resources? We have more industries available. When you talk about people migrating from the global South in particular into different nations, they're not talking about migrating to Liechtenstein, although some may. They're trekking through the Darien Gap, risking their life to get here in the US in particular, and some may go on to Canada, So are Black people tired of the same old, to answer to that? I'm sure, yes, to some extent, but I don't think that's the solution, because it may work short term, but what's going to happen when the next generation comes? Because you are leaving an environment in most cases, of a higher standard and going into an environment of a lower standard. Most people are talking about going, when I say standard, I'm looking at the United Nations Human Development Index, or the UNHDI, and its ranking. And people who are moving from the US into other places are going into places typically that rank lower than the US on that scale. That's where I'm coming from when I say that there are of a lower standard. What's going to happen when the next generation comes along? You're going to run into the same problems.
Usually, those who live overseas that came from America, they might have a certain kind of income that comes in a month. So they stay in better communities, better areas. So they stay in the better part of the areas of those places. Like in DR, there's Bikini, and there's other place, I think, where a lot of politicians and celebrities and baseball players might, their family members live and stuff like that. So
I understand that, but how is that going to play out if you have children, especially when they grow up and then they start to have their children? And then it's time for you, the one that's receiving the stipend, to meet your maker. That's where I'm coming from with it. So eventually, at some point, considering that right now, a lot of people in the world who want to migrate to the US, you're going to find yourself right back at square one. If not you personally, your children or your grandchildren.
So I'm reading a comment from who she asked, am I denouncing my citizenship? Quite frankly, although I have citizen status in America, I've mentioned a million times here, my parents were from the Jim Crow South, migrated north for a better life, never went back virtually, except maybe once a year to do a pilgrimage back to North Carolina. But I don't feel, by the time I was done with America, particularly Los Angeles, I'm here to tell you there are parts of this region of Thailand that are absolutely stunning and modern. The apartment I live in is relatively small, but a nice size 1-bedroom. And it's modern. It was just built in 2016. People have often referred to Thailand as a third world nation, but it's actually more a developing nation. And you might know more about those distinctions than I can speak to. But by the time I decided I need to leave LA, there are parts of LA that are stunning. Not that much left. Even Beverly Hills is getting overrun by street takeovers and homeless people wandering the streets. And then you got the jack boys, sliding up through Beverly Hills, robbing people right at the sidewalk at cafes and restaurants. So that was part of my frustration. Now, I'm from the East Coast. I've lived in Atlanta for about 1.5 years. The only thing I've thought about, maybe I should go to Colorado. Well, you know what's happening in Aurora. Or maybe I should go to Utah. That's not for me. I'm a big city boy. That was my motivation. And I feel that there are a lot of Black folks who feel very disenfranchised with America, particularly Black men, coupled with the fact that they're struggling with the game over there. They call it the Matrix. My parents grew up in Jim Crow South. The Matrix was real then. I don't call America a matrix. You can figure your way out. You can find a good wife. You can find a good girlfriend. You can find a good man. It's not all that matrixy to me. It's just the way that America is kind of falling apart at the seams. And there doesn't seem to be any cogent leadership that's going to move that country forward, let alone in our community. I mean, our leaders are basically rappers and sports athletes or comedians who now, blanket the landscape of political dialogue. I don't even understand where that comes from. Of course, we don't have any Martins or Malcolms I wish Jesse would come back. But I just think that I know I felt that way. I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure to some degree Flint might sympathize with that, and that there was something that frustrated him enough to begin to seek life outside of the States. And once he made a good point. Once you leave the States, and as Angie, you can attest, you see the world, in a broader scope. One of the things I like about Thailand, it reminds me of Black America in the 70s, let's say, where we had picnics, we'd eat together. It was more family oriented. Thailand is rich with that. And, thought about this morning. America's only a couple of 100 years old. Thailand is thousands. 1,000 or more years old. So their culture is deeply rooted, where we're still finding our culture, it seems. Because there's a lot of banter about Black people don't have culture. I don't agree with that, but that was my point. I just was curious, being over here, this is kind of a way for me to tap into the nerves of what Black America is talking about. I miss Zed being up here because she brings that international perspective. But I was just tired of the bullshit. And so, no, I'm not renouncing my citizenship. I can always fly back home. And I am retired, living on a retirement pension. And if I were living in the States, I'd probably be living in a car or under the 405 freeway, because it just doesn't work. The math doesn't math there anymore. So that's my motivation. And when I come up to talk about Thailand and defend Thailand, there's so much more to Thailand. It's like, okay, if I lived in LA, was I a Crip or a Blood? That's a dumb question. I would think anybody would assess that. But I'll park it there and let y'all guys.
Angie, can you explain why what you meant by, like, at some point the descendants, I mean, the children, grandchildren of the Passport Bros would be starting at zero again? What do you mean by that? Okay, so the idea is that I'm going to leave the U.S. A high income, very highly developed, according to UNHDI, nation. For those who are not familiar with the UNHDI scale, it scales from like 1 being like 100 down to whatever number. And number 1, I believe, is Switzerland. It's like scoring at a 0.96 something. The U.S. is at number 20-ish. Because I did graduate from kindergarten and, high school and whatnot. And I never knew that you can count the number 20 twice on something. But when you go to the UNHDI and you see the US, it's like it should be at 21, but they put 20 there so that they can still remain in the top 20. But that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. So what am I getting at? Okay. People decided to migrate from here in the US because their income could go elsewhere. Perfectly fine. No judgment, okay? But this is like a reaction to a dysfunction that's happening in the US. If you just continue to live on your stipend and you decide to start a family, you're still going to have the pressures of raising children abroad that you normally would have here, although you may be able to handle it better abroad because, again, you have more money. Your children decide to go to school there in Thailand, just hypothetically, and earn a degree. If they were to work in Thailand, their earning power is not going to be the same there as it is currently here. So by the time they start having children, you, the person who is the founder of your family there, are aging. So what's going to be a risk factor is, you have more yesterdays than you have tomorrow. Your day is going to come a little bit sooner. So once you're gone, now your family that you created there are going to be facing the same challenges as anybody else who was born there. Maybe not so much so, but they will feel it. And definitely by the third generation. Generally, when there is a dysfunction of that scale, it usually starts to the ugliness of it starts to rear its head by the second or third generation. So that's where I was coming from with it.
I think it would be smart for them to open up a business, like teach your children. Since that is true, that will happen. Oh, I don't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
No, you're fine. We're casual here.
Okay, I would just piggyback what you're saying that for that happens. In my case, for example, when I were to have a child, and my child will be growing up. My child think about his or her future prospect as they reach adulthood. I would encourage the mother, or to teach the child. Let them go to higher education, of course. And then create a business. Create a business, and that's how be entrepreneur. That type of spirit. And it's not easy in America as well. As rent is too high now. Inflation of food is crazy. In our lifetime, it's the highest ever in our lifetime in American history. So it's not. We don't know how America going to be in 5 or 10 years from now. It's crazy right now. AI is just the new industrial revolution. They say AI is, so that's taking over. In regard to that, they're gonna expedite a lot of things and they're going to eliminate jobs. They're going to eliminate jobs, of course, because AI is quite phenomenal. It's ridiculous how good it is, and they're going to change. They're going to change America as we know it. So
I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. I think AI definitely is going to be profound, but I just don't think that it's going to affect us the way that it's been announced. And here's why I say this. You still need software engineers. So if there's an issue that needs to be fixed, you're still going to need those skills from human beings. And then another issue is robots. I think when it comes to robotics, the ones that they've created have, oh gosh, I'm sorry. Sometimes some terms escape me. But basically, what I'm trying to describe is that from the moment something is made, it has its lifespan. So if you create a car, for instance, a car is like an analog version of a robot, if you want to go there. Most cars are not going to last for more than like 10 years before you have to replace it. Some, with a lot of care and whatnot, you can make it last forever. But for the most part, most people within 10 years, they're getting rid of their car if they were to buy it brand new. Well, it's going to be the same thing with the robots. So it's kind of like it's not feasible because what they're trying to do is make up for what human beings can do. If you want to compare the work lifespan of a human being, when I'm saying work lifespan, I'm talking about the number of years that people typically work. Let's just say from as early as age 16 until well into their 60s. But on average, most people are going to work from the age of 19 to probably around the age of 55. So one human being is working all those decades. It would take several robots in order to meet that kind of capacity. So that's why I say I don't think it's going to be as profound as people are making it out to be. It's going to do some things. It is going to revolutionize something. Or I'm sorry, it's late. It is going to be revolutionary on some things, but I don't think it's going to make it to the extent that people are making it out to be.
I want to jump in here, if I could, real quick, and
Go ahead,
speak to comments you made about AI and robotics and all the new technology and developments. You said something about programmers or engineers, software engineers. One of my favorite YouTube channels is a Japanese man, young guy. He's a millionaire, jokes about it a lot. And he was a software engineer, and they're starting to get
a Japanese Anton Daniels. No.
Is he the guy who used to work at Google and he quit and now he's just doing YouTube full time?
Yeah,
I think I know.
And he always says, "I was a software engineer as a millionaire."
And he was married. And now he's divorced.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Interesting insights into the tech industry. And Ange, I'm not sure. And you, man, I gather you must work for the government or something because you've got some knowledge going on, sister. Wow. That you mentioned the Darien Gap is just, this sister's been doing her research. So big props. Great panel today. High-minded conversation.
Yeah,
but,
very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
But software engineers getting laid off too. I think X, what they did, laying off a bunch of people, and AI is able to do software engineering. So
that is true. They're very self-sufficient. They help you. They basically like rebuild it. They can rebuild each other, right? They can rebuild themselves and fix each other.
They can replicate themselves up. And I have an extensive background in technology. Everything that I've ever done in my professional career has been connected to tech. Never been an engineer, never liked programming, way too boring, love to talk too much. So that wasn't for me. So I got into selling what we call heavy metal, which means, big machines from IBM and places like that. And that was a great career for me. That led me into owning my own computer store, led me into digital broadcast. So it's been with me for life, but AI and technology is moving at a pace, of course, that we all know that's kind of incomprehensible. And there's a lot of fear and speculation. But as a former computer programmer, not a millionaire, the one thing we always used to say is GIGO, which means garbage in, garbage out. That's why you can type something into an AI chat and it'll give you some good stuff and some garbage. You type in garbage, you get out garbage. But and one last thing about generational wealth, and these conversations are so elastic, so I'm trying to listen and remember some comments I'd like to speak to. Generational wealth is no longer relegated to just one locale. I mean, you can build generational wealth overseas and bring your dollars overseas, or leave your dollars there and just bring over what you need. There's so much remote work now, global remote work. There's so many companies hiring people globally. So you can make 100 to 200 or more, depending on your expertise, being in a whole nother country. Now, the only difference though, Ange, and I just want to make this distinction with me, is that I'm single. I was married, but I'm single. And I have no kids, chose not to. And I am not tethered by, family that can't take care of themselves. I have one brother, he has kids and grandkids, and I know he's taken care of. So this gave me an opportunity to, and I mentioned this before, live for me. Now, I know that there are a lot of people out there who can't do that, and you got to spend a lot of time building a career and then getting to a retirement age. And I retired at the first chance I got. But there are ways to build wealth, and there are people over here who are really getting it. I mean, there's some interesting thing about Thai people. People often mislabel this place as a third world country. These people are highly sophisticated. And again, if you just look at some of the apartment complexes and these high rises that they're building constantly, they're moving along. They're managing their government really well. It's corruption in all governments, but I watch the news in Thailand every day to stay up on what's going on, what's good, what's not. And I'm just a foreigner. I'm a beast of no nation, I call myself. I renounce my Americanness, but I'm not going to give up my citizenship. But or maybe I will. Who knows? But there are Thais over here who make a lot of money, very wealthy Thai families. And I've heard when I was watching the Thai lady the other day, she mentioned that she made that distinction that there's social strata in Thailand. Someone else has talked about, or other people have talked about, the fact that the women that Passport Bros get are on that lower social strata. Like if you take Zoom to Thailand, he, openly admits that he pays his live-in lover, his girlfriend, $600 a month, which is a lot of money out here, for someone who doesn't make that. They're not in that upper strata. And I posed a question to him on one of his live panels. You're giving a grown woman $600 a month and paying all the bills. Don't you think there's one good sister back in the States who would take that deal? Now, a lot of women are working and they want to work and they're very ambitious. And I support that. My mom worked all my life. My dad did too. So the work ethic is there. But I'm thinking to myself, well, if you're going somewhere, it's often mentioned how much money it costs to get here. It's a whole one-day plane ride. It'll wear you out. And then you get here and all the accommodations are cheap, but you are wasting all this money on women. That's puzzling to me.
Richard, that he come on, be honest. He will. Zoom will never be able to get a woman that look. I ain't saying woman is out like very beautiful, but she attractive. I can't. Yeah. He will never get attractive single one with no children. I'm not sure she have children. I don't think so.
I think she does. I think it came out way back that she might. I'm not sure, but go ahead.
Okay.
I agree with you, and I made the comment.
Basically, like attractive women like that can't settle for $600 a month. I'm just saying, in America.
Well, it depends on her social strata. I mean, if this is a woman who is maybe one kid or single, and they have a significant age difference.
I mean, that's not enough to support in America for one kid. Rent alone costs, how much rent alone costs. So.
But Flint, the point is that problem might be economical. It has nothing to do with the Western women. So
some women might accept that deal. Some woman might accept that deal if she's on a lower social strata and they live in America.
It gotta be some more money that got to be involved. $600 ain't nothing. That's $600 a week. $600 a week is probably even is not even.
All right, I tell you what, I'll move back to the States if someone pays all my bills and gives me $600 a month. I can make it work. And in Thailand, $600 is about, technically speaking, because it's 34 baht to the dollar today.
That's crazy.
So imagine $600 multiplied by 3. That's nearly 2,000 baht. And you could do a lot with 2,000 baht.
Okay, that's like equivalent to how much in America? How much?
Well, it's $600. Let me see. That's like 1,800 baht. So again, $1,900 US is, no, I'm sorry. $600 US is like 1,900 to 2,000. Is that right? Yeah, somewhere in that range. I got to look it up. I forgot.
So that'd be like 2,000 in America. That was like,
yeah, basically. Yeah, basically.
See, that's good money. That's pretty fair.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. And it spends like $1,800 to them.
Definitely.
When you can go buy a whole plate of food for $3.
Yeah.
Do that 3 times a month,
right?
30 times a month. That's only
like $5, right? Haircut.
Yeah, haircuts are $5. You know, you can get your apartment cleaned for like $30 to do a thorough job. It's just the cost of living here in the DR, in Colombia, in all those places that I hear other brothers talking about. They are, even Austin Hollerman was complaining about the cost of food in all these countries he recently went through. So again, I don't, love Thailand like I love America, because I had a great life in America, but it's just gotten too reckless, too crazy, too dangerous. And as much as you see, this mass migration of Venezuelans and South Americans coming to America, that was kind of how I felt coming over here. In fact, a buddy of mine said, "Hey man, you should ask them for refugee status." I said, well, I'll wait for the Civil War to start after the election. And then when I renew my visa, I'll be like, hey, can I get a refugee status over here in Thailand? But anyway, so there's a lot more to living abroad than just, it's not one dimensional, certainly. And of course, everybody's got their reasons. I certainly had mine, still do. Don't intend to come back. Don't even want to visit. I've had enough of America. I really have. So that's where my head is at with it. And I think there's a segment of our community who are kind of waking up to the fact that, wow, I'm no longer a slave. I'm no longer in indentured servitude. So maybe I can go somewhere else and live. And that's how it's played out for me. It's been very eye-opening.
And that's perfectly fine. I'm well aware that other parts of the world that are considered quote unquote third world countries actually have, especially here in 2024, they are coming up. And even if they were not, thanks to globalization and especially technology, specifically the smartphone, if the people don't have it, they know what it should look like, Mm-hmm. And not only that, I think what quite a few passport bros didn't realize when they went overseas is that even though they may encounter women that they can rendezvous with, those women either know somebody or they may even be related to somebody that is in Canada, that is in, Europe, that is in the United States. So they know what it should look like for them. And so even though they may be tolerating the situation that they have on hand in their minds, this is what they want. They want the same thing that everybody else has. And that's just being a human being. And me personally, just for the record, I see human beings as human beings, regardless of where they're from. So when I speak on different nations, I'm not speaking on the individual people or the individual groups like tribes and things like that. I'm just speaking more so on how things are governed. So Thailand, I'm looking at the UNHDI right now. They are considered high development and they rank at number 66 on the UNHDI out of 193. And the US, like I said before, is ranking number 20-ish. Should be 21, but 20-ish for now.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in park right there.
Yo, Chris, you got something to show us?
I do. Let me
Okay.
show something real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm about to.
Hold on. Just want to show this little short. Hold up.
I'm gonna tell you like this: if you're coming from the United States,
Do you think Nairobi is a good option?
1 second. Let me put the fair use back on. Just to be.
Option for raising a family?
I'm gonna tell you like this: if you're coming from the United States, you have a better shot at raising a family in Kenya in general, because the laws and the culture in Kenya are way less degenerate, way more family oriented as opposed to being in the United States. And so if kids wanted to go outside and play outside this gate over here, they could go play and you wouldn't have to worry about nobody kidnapping your kid, nobody trying to fonder with your kids. No, you wouldn't have to worry about none of that kind of stuff, because this is a way more family-oriented society, and I would recommend Nairobi over anywhere in the United States where they want your kids to be he, her, they, them, whatever that shit is. They're really trying to program your kids to be something that's not even natural.
All right. So I wanted to show that. It segued into like a point that we were talking about before. It's like, one, there's an economical issue, and then two, I think like we talked about in UK how they're making misogyny like a hate crime. They're trying to get rid of that. But also too, it's like, so a lot of these right wingers, they're trying to run away from anything like socially progressive. Like they're worried about, oh my gosh, they're trying to program your kids to be LGBTQ. It's like, Austin Hallman, you're not LGBTQ. For what we know.
Are you sure?
That's what I said. For what we know, we don't know. We don't know. No judgment. But listen, they're going to be running for the rest of their lives if they're trying to run away from like evolution and social progress. So, they have their mark set on Kenya to, gentrify that and change that, terraform that to what they want it to be. But they're going to be running for the rest of their lives. They got to get with the times.
They're looking for an impossible woman. I'm a woman. I'm the one that walks around with, the box and the tatas, okay, and some cheeks, okay. I walk around just like any other woman, and trust and believe on my worst day and on my best day, someone is trying to holler at me, okay, married or not. I joke with, well, not joke. I told my husband years ago in my first marriage, I wasn't married yet, but I was going down that way, and I was living someplace, long story, and my soon-to-be husband was about to come over, and then around that time we were going to get married and whatnot. But it was a period of time where I wasn't quite married yet. I was getting hit on left and right. So I went to a pawn shop, bought a cheap gold ring just to put it on my finger so I could stop getting hit on.
Wow.
And it was as if I went into a room and turned off one light switch and went into another room and turned on another light switch, because the guys were like, oh, that makes it easier, You're married? I'm like, dang, just leave me alone. So like I said, walking around as a woman, I can speak on behalf of a lot of women, especially American women, and on how we generally feel about things. And for me, I think some, not everyone, but some of the passport bros are going overseas for a little bit more than what meets the eye.
We got something for that. Let me show one more thing. I'm
not saying every single one is doing it, but I mean, there's some things that are more permissible in Thailand and in Colombia, Brazil. They walk around in clear heels, okay, and maybe hating me is a convenient cover. It's kind of like with that, with some women, no disrespect with what I'm about to say, what you do is your business, no judgment, but I'm just saying, when I hear some women who have said, men have done me bad, that's why I'm going with a woman. Boop, boop, you've always wanted to be with a woman. You've always wanted to be with a woman. I went through a horrible divorce. I never wanted to be with a woman. You know, so. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, American women are so bad. That's why I got to go overseas and be with lady boys, potentially.
Okay, segues into a little clip I want to show real quick. Let's do this from someone we sampled a while ago, a couple streams ago, named Starbowl. Check out his channel. Let's watch this. Fair use. Let's start this.
Poor man's passport, you know. Shout out to poor.
Start over.
See Hilltop, you see that man? Poor man's passport, you know. Shout out to poor man's passport. No disrespect to the man. He's into what he's into, you know. See, he's doing what you DL niggas like Hilltop and Q and Dog Team and the rest of these passport bros and Tommy Watson. See what he's doing. He wants y'all to come out and be who you are. You should have a talk with the man.
No judgment.
Yeah, go talk to him. Hilltop, if you see him around, go dap him up. You know, you doing all this DL shit. You trying to get on Tom. You know, Tom got a stable of lady boys for you. So if you go to Angeles City, Hilltop, you should holler at Tom. He'll hook you up, dog. You know what I'm saying? That's why Tom is pimping the lady boys, because he knows there's a lot of DL niggas out here. They kind of hide who they are.
I wanted to pause that just to show that kind of like Angie's point, like, some of these passport bros, they're into some kind of interesting lifestyles. No judgment, and they're not really. You know, you ain't got a lot to kick it. You can come out and be honest. No one's gonna judge you over here. Yeah, I agree with this. That was a little stable of lady boys, and they put on one of the phones. One of the prominent like passport bros. His name was like Q. What it do? I need to look into his channel. Apparently, I think Richard, you've been doing some research a little bit.
Yeah, I've watched quite a bit of that beef between Starbowl and Q. What it do? Q is, I think he's in Mexico right now. And I commented earlier in the chat. Someone talked about the fact that these men are coming or moving around the globe, looking for love. Sometimes in all the wrong places, and yet they leave. They abandon their children. You know, Zoom has kids, and has had a contentious divorce and has had some struggles reconnecting with his children. Q has kids. He's got a contentious relationship there as well. Again, a lot of these brothers, the two that not Richie, but Chocolate Man, Q. What it do, Starbowl. The brother who owns the beautiful Black-owned restaurant Culture. It's an amazing experience here in Pattaya. They're all ex-military. I mean, I don't really hang with anybody out here. You know, I'm pretty much a loner, and I like that. But virtually every man I meet, it seems, the only people I've met out here, and I've never met Richie or any of these guys, but Richie is the only guy that I hear in this space who isn't a retired military. And as I mentioned earlier, I think that was the birth of the modern passport day movement, is that military men move about the world, get a few days, a few weeks, and maybe a few years in a country, then they get deployed somewhere else. So they're not looking to settle down or get into, you know, real complicated relationships with foreign women. You know, the biggest challenge of being in Thailand, they have a very sophisticated language system, and they've got city talk and country talk. You know, they don't all use this exact same language. And I got frustrated even wanting to learn Thai because the Thai people who populate this area are mostly from the south part of Thailand, south of Pattaya, from a place called Isan, where there's a lot of farmland and, you know, farmers. Struggling families living off $300 a month and still got to pay some bills. So they do migrate up to Pattaya, and, you know, they find themselves in the trade. But that interaction started. I mean, realistically speaking, here in Pattaya, the passport movement, I won't say that, the transactional relationship movement was started here in Pattaya, as well noted, by Vietnam soldiers who were sent to Pattaya for R&R. And I've gone back and looked at old Pattaya from the late 60s to early 70s. It's quite fascinating because this whole area has nothing but high-rise towers around me. I live in a mid-rise. All of these towers are relatively new. They're beautiful, especially at night when the sky lights up or the building lights up. But this was all Pattaya was established by military Vietnam soldiers, active soldiers who were sent here for R&R, built this place out, not with their own hands, but built out the economy to the point that the government could come in and develop this area. But this is how Pattaya got started, you know? So it's ingrained in the culture. But I mentioned this before too, you know, Asian people don't look at sex the same way that Westerners do, particularly coming from America. You know, America was established by Quakers. Quakers are Puritans. So I think we had that mindset deeply embedded in our upbringing, but we also have all of the same ills of any other country when it comes down to the X trade. So I don't think it's I don't think people perceive that life, like life over here with the women, for what it really is. And I've dated a couple of Asian women, not here, back in the day, and they just didn't see sex the way that most women from America do. And I understand that.
Can you explain that?
Well, meaning they don't put sex on a pedestal. It's a natural part of their lives. And so they're a bit more open with the idea of sexual engagement. That's what I found in the States with women who came from a couple of Asian countries. And that's what I believe is part of the culture here, that they just don't look at sex as being that important. They just look at it as a part of life, like getting up in the morning and, you know, using the bathroom. And the selling of it, you know, that's sad. And that's kind of why I stay out of the soys, because I see a lot of sad faces. Smile in your face, but I know they must be miserable having to date fat white guys with big bellies or overweight brothers.
And weirdos.
Extremely weird. That's why I really haven't connected with any brothers. I've met a couple of them, hung out with them. All they wanted to do, and pull out their phone, go to Thai friendly, swiping through.
What is Thai friendly? It's like a dating.
It's the same thing as Cupid or whatever. You know, online dating apps, basically. Okay. All of them that are out here. This one older dude, he was older than me, retired military, and he had just moved out here probably a month and a half before me last year. And I met him at Culture Lounge, and the owner introduced him to me, and he said, "Hey, man, show him around." So I walked around with the old man for a few hours, and everything was about women. This is why I mentioned to Flint earlier. Like, at what point have you? They act like they've never seen a woman before, you know. So at what point does that get tired and old? Okay, so if you don't want to settle down, I can dig it. You want to come out, and, as you said, Chris, sow your royal oats, I can dig it. But man, by the time you get in your 50s, just running around collecting phone numbers seems a little odd to me. No diss to you, Flip.
I mean, yeah, parts of that statement I understand a little bit. It's like it's intoxicating to go on dates. It's intoxicating to meet new people. But to your point, to dig into that point a little bit, when you were making that statement, it's like there is no accountability on men to establish themselves in any kind of way. Family wise, like there's a lack of accountability there. So it's like men can we talked about it hours ago about, you know, men and their insistence to go after the 20-year-old woman, and it's like, why for what purpose? Just to conquer her and just to defeat all the other guys in competition or whatever. It's just like they're doing, and that's, I think what I was also thinking about was like, is, you know, there's an economical reason why they're going over there. But like, is it also that like the hookup culture is also, you know, as quiet as kept, might be drying it up over here, and they're frustrated and they're going over there because it's just they're low effort guys, and that's what they want. They're finding hookup culture through this, that they have to this pay for play.
I totally agree. But what I don't understand is, I'll go back to something that was mentioned earlier about, we know it's the oldest trade and all of that stuff. But I remember back in the day, most men did not brag about or weren't even really proud about. I'm talking about black men.
Yeah.
Weren't proud about sleeping with an ex-worker. They would keep that on the low. I was asking Flint, at what point could he identify as a time when the time turned that men were so more open with it, putting it on YouTube? That part I don't understand. Low effort or no effort. I mean, there are low effort opportunities in the States. Again, we talk about social strata and just mindset. What might not play in LA might play in Sacramento. What might not play in New York might play in Georgia, or the South. Whereas you can find a good woman and you don't have to be rich, tall, dark, and handsome, right, and you can find a wife.
But I don't think they want that though. The subset of people, the subset of red pillars. Yeah, the subset of men who are passport bros, the subset of men who are red pillars. I think there's maybe like just a slither of people who actually want relationships, and it's a lot of bullshit. To your point, like could they find a wife? That's why I said it's going to be funny to tell this, to generations down the line. Like, yo, there were black men who, we can write it down on we can scribble it on rocks like it was like it was from like eons ago, and show like up in a picture form, like there were black men that were at one point were extremely confident, and this range between 2022 to whenever a lot of them became very low confidence. They suffer from low confidence, or the economic situations, or women starting to surge. A lot of different reasons. Some of them maybe multiple of those, but it's just like it's gonna be really interesting to tell this, that like they wanted to convince everybody that like there were no wives and no dates to be found, and they had to go overseas to do it. They had to go overseas to do it for a certain extent, for a certain reason. It wasn't because there wasn't opportunities over here if they wanted certain things. If they wanted relationships, the relationships are here. If they wanted the hookup culture instantly, that might not be here for a lot of them. I think that's the disconnect. Is like they're
not for cheap.
Yeah, not for cheap. And that's the reason why I said like it's not in the cards for them. Like if they want a relationship, it's here. It's always been here. That has not changed.
It is. Can I address OB?
Go for it.
OB and who said that? Excuse me. You need to get you one of them women out. What? I need to date a Thai girl. I'm not doing it, bro. Let me explain. The way my bank account works is all my money for me. Getting married again, I am extremely selfish with my time these days. I really like my solitude. I'm really into that right now. It's a phase.
I asked you this a long time ago, though, Richard. What about just companionship? Just like, you don't miss that?
Well, that's why I come up here.
What do you mean?
To talk to you kids.
I mean, no. Let's be very clear about that. I love being on these panels. Right. I love contributing to this channel, but like I talk about my dating life and stuff like that. Like I need that companionship. Like what I'm talking about is like the female companionship. Like why is it not possible over there? I don't want to go too deep into it, but like, do you miss like is there a part of you that like wants that companionship to live with someone over there, still have some little bit of romance, friendship, all that kind of stuff?
I wasn't finished my count. I'll start over. One, the way my bank account works is I ain't got no money for nobody else. And I'm not broke, but I'm not spending no money for companionship. And that's just the way it goes out here. Even if it's not on a sexually transactional basis, you've got to have a dowry if you want to marry a woman out here. If you want to date
that part.
Got it.
If you want companionship, I'm gonna come back to the dowry part. If you want companionship, it's transactional. That's just what it is.
Wow.
There's no other way around it. And you're not them. They'll give you all you want and then have a husband and children back in Eastside on the farm.
So are you saying there's no non-transactional love to be found?
Well, I will venture to say that if I were to meet a nice Thai lady, an older Thai lady, you know, that's baked in the game out here. She's going to want to know how I can support her. That's just it. You need to watch a lot more content from people like Talk Time with Dan and Travel Time with Paul. Paul has been out here. Talk Time with Dan is a white guy from the UK. He was married. He put it all on his channel. All he talks about is the perils. I don't care how well intentioned you are. The perils of dating alone is offsetting, and the perils of marriage. You're gonna definitely get raked over the coals. And he put all of his business out there, explaining he had a child with this Thai woman. She was from East Side. She's from a village. I don't know where he met her. They were married for several years. She snapped out of the clear blue. Let me finish my countdown. Out of the clear blue, took the child, put him through hell, and he's been very open and transparent about his experience. So I listened to a lot of that stuff when I got here, but a lot of it also I picked up on YouTube videos and my research on how to make this transition. So it's just too transactional. Now let's get down to the third point I think I'm at now, and that is the language barrier. I mentioned earlier, it's no small thing to learn Thai. Even if you went to Thai language school for a year, you still aren't going to be conversational with Thai women. You can, say certain things and stuff like that. If you look at Richie Mack and his girl, she's just starting to learn English. He's been with her for 4, almost 5 years, possibly. He knows very little Thai, almost none, but they make it work. Why? If Richie Mack lost his income and he couldn't pay that $600, she gone. It's as simple as that. So you got the language barrier. And that's enough for me to sit my ass still and just enjoy myself and not even consider that right now. I've only been here just over a year. Not at all in nowhere in my future do I see that happening. I got a friend who we used to date both as teenagers and then later as 20-year-olds. And then we went our separate ways. Man, we talk just like we still boyfriend and girlfriend. She wants to come over here. If she does, because she's got some stuff and she owns a house in Philly and all that stuff. And I'm not saying move. I said, just come for a month and kick it with me. Then I'd be dating. And one last thing, and I love my people and I love my women. I've only dated outside my race twice in all of my years. And that's with a couple of Asian women who found me attractive. I don't really find Asian women attractive. I've been with so many sisters. I'm spoiled. Yeah. So, and even though Thai girls, they got a little something with them in terms of, their physique, but it's just too much to do for a man my age. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm not still looking for nub, in the words of Buckwheat, I'm not still looking for love. I've had lots of love in my life. And that's just not something that I crave right now. I'm just enjoying myself by myself, to myself. I got friends who call me. We talk on the phone. I could FaceTime if I want to. But that's all I want right now.
Fair enough.
Now, if my homegirl come out here, y'all won't hear from me no more. You'll know that I got married.
That's what I'm talking about.
But other than that, and to OB's question earlier, I'm not seeing any sisters in my locality. I've seen a few. I even met the girl, the LGBT girl and her girlfriend sitting right outside of my building at a food stall, who got kicked out of Thailand for snapping out. But it's not something I'm interested in, and this is way too complicated for a man of my age to be trying to figure out, as I'm still getting my feet on the ground out here, just trying to figure out east from west, south from north. So that's just hopefully that'll put that question to bed for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like, it's just curious. I was just curious because I'm like, I'm not boots on ground. Been to Thailand, beautiful place. Been to Phuket. I had a vacation cut short, but I need to go. I wanted to go to We were going to go to Bangkok, but Phuket, man, when you get some authentic Thai food, it's different. But I'm like, and Phuket was like the touristy part of Thailand, like a touristy part, I think. So I need to go back.
Phuket's a mess right now, though. If you're coming back, don't go to Phuket.
Why do you say that?
Well, the Ruskies have taken over, and every week and every news vlog I see, there was a segment called "Foreigners Behaving Badly," getting into fights with Thai citizens. Oh yeah. Every other day now. And Phuket is really on fire. It happens here in Pattaya. That's why I don't really go out at night at all. A lot of Europeans.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Richard. And,
say that again.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate you being on.
Okay, yeah.
The young lady. Thanks. Nice talking to you. And
Angie,
okay, yeah.
Flint. That's Angie, the ENTJ. You should check her channel out.
Okay, put in the chat. I'll take a look.
Yeah, let me see.
Peace and blessings to you, Flint, and safe travels, man. I hope to talk to you again. I hope I wasn't too long-winded.
No, I always interested in listening to you. I just had to go to work tomorrow in the morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Talk to you.
I see a Flint. Yeah, it is getting a little late too. Let's see, what time is it? Yeah, maybe just a little bit longer, but we probably should wrap it up. Yeah, thanks for posting that link, Angie.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
Angie,
cool.
What does ENTJ mean?
Okay, so ENTJ is a Myers-Briggs personality type. There are about 16. And I think mine is one of the second rarest ones on the planet. So what happens is that I tend to see, this is what I usually tell people. If you're in a store and you're looking at a watermelon, chances are you're looking at the green and the stripy part. That's the part that, most people think of. Even if you were to draw one and color it in, you're going to color it green. But turn that watermelon over. Typically, there's like a yellow spot there. Mm-hmm. That's part of the watermelon too. So I tend to look at things through that angle, that rare angle that people don't normally consider. And people with my personality type is rare to begin with, but the majority of people who have it are men. So it's even more rare for a woman to have it. So I put it out there because I say things that, at first with the gentleman that just went off, as you can see, he had the Matador cape up for me. He was ready to, that's so I put ENTJ out there just to kind of like say, hey, I just see things differently, so that hopefully people are not ready to fight me. I've been me for a while. So I kind of know to like forewarn people with that. I may come from an angle that you ain't used to, but it's still a part of the situation that needs to be considered.
I got feed from you recently, so you're in my algorithm, and I was watching one of your I think latest videos. And
thank you.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I subscribed to you as well. If not, I'll definitely do that today. But
I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Always here for the support. Chris, I'm gonna step down as well, man. I really appreciate you guys allowing me to come up.
Yeah,
hadn't had a chance to jump on. Wanted to suggest something to you, my brother. Do you have a schedule, or you just kind of post that you're gonna be coming up, and then that's how that works? How does that work?
The schedule was every Wednesday do a live.
Okay.
I think Zed was gonna do a live stream, and actually that's why I think I might end this one a little short so I can keep the content ready for the live on Wednesday. But like, to keep it consistent, like a live every Wednesday, and then but like I said, Zed wanted to do like a live today. She wanted to talk about I think BMT and O'Shea Duke Jackson, I think. So I just said, since it was kind of like already scheduled and it was like a little overtime, I was like, hey, you know what, I'll jump on, because I'm like, I think one thing, like I said, me just being kind of new to content creation, it's like I take it personal to like honor I want us to honor these lives. Like if we and Zed said she's going to try to join this one. She's got stuff. She's heading to Ethiopia pretty soon or whatever. So I was like, hey, and I already talked to her earlier today. I was like, hey, do you have enough content for the live today? I'll jump on and do some of the stuff that I showed today. So like I said, but my day, I was planning for Wednesday, but I was trying to lock in on like a topic or whatever for this Wednesday. But I still have some more content. I'm gonna probably schedule something for this Wednesday, but every Wednesday, probably around like 7-8ish Eastern, I'm probably gonna be just doing lives.
Okay.
And eventually I think I'm gonna start doing some like pre-recorded like Zed used to do too.
And Zed doesn't share the link, correct?
What do you mean?
Meaning I saw her go live the other day and wanted to come up and support her and engage her in conversation, but she did not post a link, and I maybe didn't work hard enough to.
Was that one a live or was it pre-recorded?
I don't know. I thought it was live, but
yeah, it might have been live. I'm not sure. But like sometimes I think it might have been pre-recorded because I'm like I started watching a little bit. If I don't remember if I watched the whole thing, and she started off saying like, "Hey, I just want to do this." I think she might have alluded to how it was pre-recorded. She just wasn't in the mood to do a live or whatever. So I think she did it pre-recorded. That's how I came to this channel. She was doing a lot of pre-recorded. She used to not do lives, and then eventually she started opening them up, and like we started doing panels, and that's how I met you, and I met Flynn. I saw Angie on one of these lives before or whatever. But yeah, for me, I'm gonna be doing lives every Wednesday. I'm gonna try to stay consistent with that because it's like if you fall off the consistency, and you have to be really. I feel like you have to be passionate about this stuff because like especially to do lives, like you have to be prepared. You have to have your content. You can't. You're trying to avoid struggle streaming. You need people in the audience. You need people on the panels as well. So it's like I really appreciate y'all jumping on the panels. So like I tell people, I was telling this woman that I previously dated, I said, without people on this panel, it's just a Saturday Night Live monologue. I mean, and sometimes you got enough content for that. Sometimes you don't. And sometimes you're like, listen, are people really rocking with my opinion on this? Or am I just in my own head? Because sometimes people will be in the chats being like, yo, this dude talks forever. And I'm like, because I'm probably the only person on the panel when you're saying that shit. But like I said, I didn't want to keep y'all too long. Like Flint, everybody's got to go to work in the morning. I'm going to try to see if I can go back to an Orange Theory Fitness again tomorrow, probably like 5-6 in the morning. So I'm not going to get a lot of sleep. So I appreciate y'all joining the panel. I really do. And everybody joining in the audience too. I really appreciate it.
Cool,
appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, but let's shut it down. Y'all have a great
Peace
night.
and blessings, Ange.
Same to you. Good night.
All right.
Peace and blessings to Zed. Good night, y'all.
All right, bye.
Nice work, Chris.